We discuss the implications of Halo Infinite's free-to-play multiplayer, Diablo Immortal's latest trailer, and the forthcoming Splinter Cell Animated series. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 242 of the It's Obvious podcast. My name's Garrett Drake. I'm joined alongside Preston Pugh this week.
Good evening. Morning.
It is morning, yes. We're still collecting ourselves here. We're joined online by Jacob Alka.
Hi.
And we're joined online by our dear friend and community member who has supported us longer than, I wouldn't say longer than many, but probably like you've probably been around the longest in addition to a handful of others on our Discord. And for that, we are just incredibly grateful and love you to death. Bohongeles!
Hey,
Kyle.
Bongles. I like it. I like all the names that I've been granted. More than, you guys call me worse names than my friends call me, but I appreciate it. But
Are they worse?
Nah. Maybe. It's okay.
I mean them very endearingly.
Nah, as long as it's the intention that counts. So as long as I feel the love, I don't care what you call me. That's good enough for me. But
are you telling me you don't like bongles, man? Bongles?
I don't know. It sounds, if you said it in a certain way, it sounds like it could be a hate crime practically, but hey, to each their own. But I've been listening for a good time. I distinctly remember when I first started listening, I was working my first job. It was at a Target, and we would go in the morning and stock the shelves. So we'd empty the trucks. So it'd be me, really sweaty, which is a good first step. Really sweaty. Nice. Listen to you boys talking about video games. Perfect. And unloading a truck. And I think the first episode, it was in the 40s. I remember some of the later ones. I remember the Mass Effect.
The dark days.
Yeah, the Mass Effect, voice acting one. There was a Dark Souls one. I remember. It's been a while, but definitely I feel the Dark Days vibe. Don't want to go back and listen to the older stuff. But it's crazy how much you sit down and think how much you change both as a person and how fluent and well you're able to sit there and speak just to each other and kind of go on rants or do the podcasting thing, and you get better at it as you go on. But going back and listening to the old times, it's just, you sit there and you're like, we really were. Definitely dark times. I feel that 100%.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm sure you can relate in many ways doing Thought Patrol for quite a while now.
It's been, we'd always wanted to do something, right? And to be honest, one of the main pushes that we got was listening to you guys. And me and my friend Sean, we had always sat down ever since high school. We'd always see the PewDiePie and the other really big channels at the time and be like, that'd be cool. Imagine all our friends doing that. And then, but we never did it. It just, time went on, people moved on, and then I sat down and listened to you guys one day, and I'm like, it's just a bunch of cool dudes being dudes, right? Saturday morning and chilling out and stuff. And we could do that. And so we started it. It was me and my friend Sean. It was actually all of my friends right off the bat. And then it got to the point where, the people that aren't as into it fall off. The people that are will stick around. And it eventually ended up just being me and Sean. And but it's been fun every step of the way, both trying to get out there and also just dealing with the internet. Because we've had some times where we'd boost posts on Facebook or something, and then you'd say something and then it get absolutely destroyed by the internet, especially Facebook, Twitter.
It's a vile place, both of them.
Cesspools of humanity. I can't, if I ever had to make a decision and it had to support the continuance of humanity, right? After watching or looking at Facebook, I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
It's a hard decision. Certainly.
I might pull the plug. Something might get nuked. But it's just that thing, trying to get yourself out there and then dealing with just everyone that is out there kind of thing and trying to grow. But it's been fun. I just like talking. I like sitting down talking about video games, things. We kind of go a bit more crazy over there from.
You guys do elaborate dances or something?
I wish. But when we started, it was a lot more skit driven. We actually wrote stuff out, but that became difficult as time went on, just because the time became less. So you had to balance obviously want to keep this a hobby, but you also want to move forward and do what you're trying to do with your life as well, just in case, like, so you always have it as a hobby, but you're not trying to make it like the main goal, because it's just not to be a downer, but it's not as realistic, right? So a lot of time the best part is to have it first, like, oh, I enjoy doing this is fun, and then going from there. But yeah, it's been a great journey. I think it's been I think we just released episode like 140 something, so we're going on a few years, 3 years, I guess, if one every week. Less than that.
Yeah, you're getting up there. I mean, you're less than 100 episodes behind us at this point.
Yeah, that was exactly it. So, like, I think you guys are like 2 or something years in when we started, and that's crazy how much time has passed. It blows me away. We are all getting old, gentlemen. We're all
I know.
getting old.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Maybe you guys are. I'm staying young.
Exactly.
Yeah, the oldest among us. Jacob's the geezer of the group.
The boomer.
I'm actually 28
dude.
now. My birthday was this week.
Oh, well.
Oh, you're right.
Happy birthday.
I did wish you a
my
happy
man.
birthday. I recall doing that.
You did, yeah. And thank you, Kyle. I didn't say that so that you guys
happy
would
birthday, Jacob.
wish me birthday, but thank you.
It's okay.
And you too, Preston.
You gotta take your birthday. You gotta put some importance in that. That's why when Garrett says not to, pisses me off, bro. I want to celebrate.
Yeah, that's
when
just me.
I want to celebrate when you came out of your mom's, her hoo-hoo, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hoo-hoo.
Yeah, it's the sentiment and consideration is certainly much appreciated. But if it's confined to like my immediate family and close friends, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but Kyle, first and foremost, thanks for taking the time to join us this morning. Grateful you were able to.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, like we said, we wanted to do like the community members on the podcast for a long time, and we, like everything we've ever done, we procrastinated quite a bit. Even like beginning this podcast, very similar to what you said. What pushed us was ultimately kind of funny, but it's something we'd kind of talked about even prior to them. But that was kind of like the final push for us. And it's very humbling and encouraging to hear if anyone's ever been even remotely inspired by what we were doing to start their own. So that's super cool.
For sure.
But it's been a wild world we live in this year. And we haven't like had a direct conversation with you outside of Discord at all. So like how's life like in 2020 is not only just someone who plays video games, someone who runs a podcast, but just as a human being, as a human man in 2020. How are you?
Again, good. I've been dealing with a decent amount. Again, I don't want to bring down anything. So it's just been stuff with family, dealing with people getting older and some people having to take care of them and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's been school and work. School's been interesting, definitely. With everything going on, a lot of classes shifting to online instruction, that has affected. It is crazy just how different of an experience it is when you sit down to take a class online, especially more difficult classes. That it's just a whole different experience. Like normally, like you get your ass up, you have to go drive there, sit in class. But this literally, you wake up. I got class in 10 minutes. Let me put on a shirt so I'm not naked. And then you sit in front of your computer and listen to your professor talk. But you could just as easily, let me slap that snooze button and you go right back to sleep. And no one would be the wiser because you could just sit in a Zoom call or whatever the heck and watch your professor or not watch your professor as they just talk to nobody. And it's crazy. But so it definitely makes learning more difficult. My sister's in the same boat where she doesn't even want to really take classes because she feels as she doesn't have that. She needs to be like hands-on with what she does. So she doesn't have that she can't retain that information. So it makes it more difficult. So definitely in the process of kind of just wishing everything can get back to normal already. Especially with everything. I've quickly come to understand that with everything that's gone on, you know how they have in a movie or like a show, you got humanity fighting each other. Everything's back against the wall. And then you have a united common enemy that shows up and humanity bands together against this common enemy. I've quickly learned that would never happen in real life, bro. We can't even get people to wear masks. And fight off a virus because there's issues, and then that's its whole problem in and of itself. But it would never happen. Aliens showed up, we'd still be fighting each other with the aliens actively like, hey guys, we're gonna gonna blow up your planet. It's like, nah, China did something yesterday. We got to go talk to them, bro.
The government already tried to warn us with the UFO videos, and we're all like, we don't have time for that right now.
Yeah. We got the Rona. All I'm gonna say is it happened after we raided Area 51. So
right. They're trying to scare us off.
Exactly.
I think our common enemy now is going to be the monkeys taking over, was it India? Some part of India? Where is it?
It's in Thailand.
Yeah. That's going to be our Planet of the Apes, man. It's happening.
Yeah.
Only in 2020, and it surprises no one.
Yeah, give one or two of them AKs and we got a problem.
See, I didn't even hear about that because of everything else that's going on. Like, there's so much other crap happening in the world. I didn't even hear about these monkeys, man. Like, tell me about these monkeys. Like, what are they doing?
They're just taking over the streets. Taking
Quite
kids.
literally. I mean, they're stealing from people. They're fighting one another for food. It's wild.
Yeah, they typically they rely on food from tourists and stuff, but since there's travel restrictions and everything, they're just going mad, just fighting each other for food, stealing, just acting like a bunch of apes.
That's
I know 2020, man. I mean, it's all just one big
cluster
circus around the world. It's insane. Kyle, I'm glad to hear you're mostly doing well. I can certainly relate to the school aspect. I mean, my last semester or a quarter of film school was exactly the same. I mean, I would literally be playing a game with Zoom off to the side, and as soon as my teacher would ask me something, I'd go into like intellectual mode, like, oh, I do agree, this scene looks quite exquisite, and then be like, blah 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 blah. You're like, thank you for contributing. We're like, great, and I'd go back to playing Doom or something.
Yeah,
but it was very anticlimactic, and it is a shame that, like, especially like really advanced, difficult classes are confined to those online spaces. Because, like you said, I mean, it really is like get what you give. I mean, if I was adamant about paying attention. I mean, thankfully for my sake, the last two classes I took were not too important. But if you're like in the midst of school, I bet for your sister especially, you really have to like put the effort in yourself to like put yourself in that mindset that while I'm at home in my pajamas, I'm still like on my educational journey.
Yeah, it's just crazy, and it's definitely one of those things we'll hear about for a long time to come. The Great Rona, 2020, end of the world, and all that other stuff. There's actually an interesting. There's this YouTube channel. I guess you guys might have heard of him, called Internet Historian, and he'll sit down and talk about different things that happen on the internet. And one of them he released recently was talking about the virus and things from the toilet paper pandemic to the 5G to the to the animals. He talked about the monkeys, the monkeys, and it happened in other places like EU. They had like sheeps, just like nature returning with a lot of people just not being in the streets and carbon emissions going down and everything from everyone staying home. It's just been crazy, but definitely can be seen as a blessing outside of all the deaths for gamers.
Certainly, there are many silver linings
for gamers. Get to play,
especially for gamers, dude.
Yeah, dude. Gamers
it's the
rise
biggest
up.
Silver lining of all.
100%. But yeah,
dude. What I've had to do recently is I'm not in school anymore, but I am doing these online classes for this exam I have to pass for like my drone license. And it is just unbelievably boring, but I've had to recently, and I put it off for a while. I started it and got really lazy and took a few weeks off, and I'm back in the full swing of it now. And the way I've had to do that is pretend like I have to get up and go to class every morning. So I intentionally get up in an hour and like take a shower and eat breakfast. I'm like, okay, I have to go to school and do this today. Otherwise I won't pass. I've had to like force myself into that mindset because it's so easy with nothing going on. I have nowhere to go because if I do any work, it's always from home. So it's like hard to put yourself in that headspace, but it is fascinating, right, to be living it. But like you said, looking back on it in years to come is going to be lead to a lot of interesting conversations. Just hearing people's stories, like where were you when this happened, or like what did you do to get through that time and everything. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
But before we get into the games, I was going to ask you, what are like your long-term ambitions for Thought Patrol? Like you said, it's just a hobby, but do you have any like ambitions beyond it just being a hobby at some point?
I guess as anyone that you would ask this question to that creates content, they would love to get to that point where they could sustain themselves, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's not something that's a goal at the point. It's more like we're going to just do our thing. And if something does happen and we need to adjust to accommodate a community, then it will happen. But as of right now, it's just, hey, I like talking about games. So we're going to sit down, talk about games once a week, chill, put the personality out there because everyone does this, right? So a lot of what people will attach to is your personality, like how you talk. And that's a lot with what you guys do. is it's the personality that you guys have, the camaraderie amongst you guys. That's what draws people in. So just kind of having that own unique atmosphere for every different podcast that does it, every different YouTube channel that does it, would be just fostering that own unique atmosphere with the personalities on the show. And it's more laid back. We do have like some scripted elements to the show. Sometimes we'll do skits. Sam actually that writes oh my gosh, I forget what he calls it for you guys, because
IOG Masters.
IOG Masters. That's the better name I always told him. But it's called Boyang no Waifu for our side. So it's like the prequel that leads into your guys' story. So he's creating his own cinematic universe. What an absolute monster.
Wow.
And it's like about Boyang the Waifu Mancer before he goes and steals Preston. But it's just
I didn't know it ties together.
But yeah, it's just been so fun kind of acting it out, hanging out, because Sean is really good at doing, like, I suck with it, but he's really good at doing voices, which also comes into play when we read we have a section called Kyle Ruins, and we read some porno fan fiction. So that's also
about you guys.
No, I wish. I wish. I would also love to get them animated, bro. It'd be so cool to have someone come in and do all that kind of stuff, or pay someone to do all that kind of stuff. But no, just like porno fan fiction, bro. Like Sonic or Twilight, or I think there was a Ghostbusters one. It doesn't happen all that often, because I think that would literally destroy people, and you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. And it gets kind of raunchy, but aspirations, again, it's just gonna do it. If something happens, but it's more for the fun, enjoying it. Also like streaming, although streaming is its own beast in and of itself. Just a lot of the time, because, and I'm sure Jacob, you've dealt with it, where you'll sit down, you'll play a game, you'll stream, and just nobody. You're just chilling. Then no one pops up. And again, it's something that, like, if you're doing it for fun, it shouldn't bother you. But after for so long, and there's a lot of, not to speak down on anyone that has any type of success in this industry, but it's a lot of where you being in the right place at the right time, being able to retain that community and all that other stuff. So it becomes very difficult and disheartening after a while. But again, just hang out, doing what you do, and then, hey, maybe one day it might turn into something. But outside of that, no aspirations. Rather get a degree, go do that, and then we'll just leave it something on the side. And then when I'm old and in my super cyberpunk 2077 deathbed or whatever, I'll be able to look back and let's go listen to episode 1 and then cringe ourselves to death. And but that's about it. More like having like a this is cool kind of thing that we tried to do and see where it went. But ultimately, no really aspirations. It's just what it is. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I know we feel that completely. You guys certainly have far more unique segments than we do. That's something I definitely admire about Thought Patrol a lot. But all the same, man. And I think initially we're like, oh, let's like try to make this something huge. But when we said this 100 times, our goal initially was to, of course, come together every week, talk about what we love, and then hopefully a community builds around that. We can share those conversations with everyone else. And that's another like fulfilled goal as well, is that we thought, like, I wonder if anyone else will ever be inspired by what we're doing, how we were inspired in the same way. So, those two things alone are awesome. And like we said, we're grateful for the community we have. And like you said, it really is just a hobby for us because we're busy with careers and relationships and other things going on in life that prevents us from really focusing on it full time. But same thing, like if anything ever happened, we totally go that route if it came to that. But yeah, hobbies for us as well. And I think with Sam writing stories for our cinematic universe, it's just all the more reason for a full-on crossover at some point.
Cinematic. I love it.
So
I love Sam, bro. He's awesome.
Yeah, Sam Harris.
Sam's great.
Shout out.
Oh man, I can hear him from here, geeking out.
Yeah.
Don't get too big on yourself, Sam.
He was our first guest, correct?
Yes, he was.
Sam Harris was, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, Sam, then Nolan, then Bongles. Kyle, so we'll keep the train rolling. But gentlemen, Preston and Jacob, how were your weeks? What's going on in your lives?
How about you, Preston? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Nothing. I just worked this week. I think this is the least amount of things I could probably ever bring to a podcast.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Right now.
We can celebrate the fact that we're in the same room again on a podcast. So it's been a while since that.
I got to get used to talking with a person in front of me and listening through an earbud. It's throwing me off a little bit. But, but I'll get there. But it's
an acquired skill, certainly.
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely respect you and Jacob to be able to have the conversations you have with the setup.
Yeah.
But I literally did nothing this week. I worked. I hardly played any video games. I didn't watch anything exciting.
You worked all day yesterday here too, while I played video games.
Yeah, I literally came to your house, did some stuff. Garrett's mom contracted me to do a bunch of work around the house, so I got here, worked all day, and we hung out for a little bit last night.
I did.
Now here we are.
Yeah, we had a boatload of pizza, wings, ice cream. We watched Eurovision.
We did.
How
zoned
is
out
that?
Quite a bit. It's all right.
Yeah, just all right.
Yeah, that's a couple funny moments.
Yeah.
So, but
it's definitely not the worst thing I've seen with what's his name?
Will Ferrell. Yeah. I did after we watched that though. When I was falling asleep last night, turn on The Other Guys because I hadn't seen it since the theater, and that movie is super underrated.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It's funny.
But I think that's all we've been doing. So I pretty much did the same. I worked a little bit, mostly studied for that test I talked about, and played games here and there. So I don't think I'm forgetting anything. What'd you do, Jacob?
Well, yesterday I spent literally the whole day out in the sun at the pool, and for some reason I thought, I'm not that pale, right? I'm not going to put any sunscreen on. I'm going to be fine.
No.
Here we are. I'll give you guys a little peek.
Whoa.
I'm a little pink.
Oh no,
Jacob!
My shoulders are red. My arms are red.
like a
everything
tomato.
is red, and my back is completely white because I
good
was laying
choice
on a
of shirt.
float all day. What was that, Kyle?
It's a good choice of shirt.
Yeah.
Fits
you
your
can't see.
skin tone. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have Garrett gave me this Elgato key light. So I've been using that to illuminate myself, and I have it on a warmer setting so I don't look pink. So
Nice.
I don't know if it works.
Now you
but
just look like you're glowing.
Yeah. But it was a good day regardless. I had plenty of White Claws and just laid out in the pool on a float all day. So it was really
Sounds like a
relaxing.
great
And
day.
we had good company. I was hanging out with Clara. So we had a good day.
Nice.
Had some really crappy Asian food last night though. I kid you not, I had the worst fried rice I have ever had last night. And it was this place called Nova. It's really
Is it
close to
nearby
the
where you
Target and Publix off Lenox. I don't know if you're familiar yet.
Buckhead.
But
Okay.
yeah, I don't recommend going there. Don't go there. Because I also got this sushi roll, and it was I don't know if it was bad, but it was warm, and it just wasn't really good. I can't recommend anything good from this place. She said that she really liked her soup that she got, and I got this egg drop soup, which I'm a huge fan of no matter where I go. And the egg drop soup was good, I guess, but everything else was just kind of, I'll pass.
Bogus.
But,
Jacob, you guys need to go to Umi in Buckhead.
Umi?
Yeah, Umi. It's just UMI. It's great sushi.
Okay. Where is
At
it?
least as far as I know, in Buckhead.
Yeah.
It's right next to what's that place? I already forgot the name. It's in the heart of Buckhead though. It's right down the street from Shake Shack.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'll go check it out soon.
I'll go with you.
nice.
Yeah. Every weekend we've been trying
Kyle
to
will be there.
go to at least one new place. So
A lot of options in the city. Have you guys been to Buttermilk Kitchen yet?
no.
Do you guys like breakfast and or brunch?
Of course. Who doesn't?
It's in Buckhead off Roswell Road. Buttermilk Kitchen will change your life.
Okay.
Not kidding.
Got two more.
would die by
check
those
off
words.
now. Yeah. I'll go check those out.
Would you say getting sunburned at the pool with White Claws and crappy sushi were the highlights of your week?
I don't know. I don't know if they would be highlights. There's things that stand out to me. Another thing that did happen at the pool yesterday was I had dropped my phone, and I thought that it cracked in 15 places, my screen. I don't know if you can see this, but this is my screen protector.
Oh,
Yeah, those things will save the day.
There's so many cracks down here and all the way up. So I get back. So I'm I'm down in the dumps that night. We have our dinner. I'm still down in the dumps because I feel I think hey, I got to go get my phone repaired. This is going to be expensive. But she's like, no, just peel your phone protector off, your screen protector off. So I gently peel this off, and I was amazed that I have literally zero damage on my phone. I know you can't really see it, but It's
Miracle.
there I am. Look at me. Yeah, it's completely scratch free. So I cannot recommend getting a screen protector enough if you guys don't have one.
What's the
for your phones.
brand, Jacob?
The
for
brand?
when they do the sponsorship? What's the brand?
Yeah, we need to know.
You see, if we were professional,
These
I
are
would
mere
know that.
pennies we're
but I
talking
don't.
about for our audience, man.
Yeah, and I bought that screen protector like 2 years ago. Like, of course, I didn't keep the box, but yeah.
Worth it then, man. 2 years later.
Yeah,
Save the day.
So I guess Saturday was sort of a little bit of a roller coaster for me yesterday, but I made it. And I drove home last night in better spirits, but I also had a really bad headache because I think from the sunburn, and I still had a headache this morning when I woke up, so I had to take some Motrin. But
Dude, me
I'm feeling
and
good
you
now.
were in pain together last night.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to me, but I was just sick, I guess.
You did eat a lot of food.
Dude, I eat the same thing every Saturday. I
Yeah.
eat a large pizza with wings and ice cream and some sort of like cake like thing.
that's so much food.
I do it every Saturday. Like that's just
Yeah.
what I do. And I did the exact same thing last night, but like I retained the food baby for, I swear, like 4 hours. It typically goes away in like an hour, but this thing would not go away. I thought I was like gonna have to go throw up at one point.
Yeah,
I had to leave Eurovision like halfway through and just go to the bathroom for like an hour and a half, I swear. But I feel like I'm in some like food hangover this morning. So I was just absolutely wrecked last night.
yeah. Did everything go okay? You feeling better now?
I'm fine now.
That's
like
good.
this morning, I felt like like I said, I was in some hangover state. Just like my legs are all wobbly and my head was hurting. But I think I'm finally getting back to my normal self. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure if something I ate was not like 100% or if
Maybe it was that cake thing you tried. That was the first time you tried that cake thing, right?
it was. I got like this Oreo cake thing.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I ate an entire pizza. Maybe it was too. Well, okay. I have a theory.
Okay. The pineapple on the pizza, probably.
No, definitely not that. I always get the same pizza too: half pineapple chicken, half pepperoni mushroom. But the only Jacob, don't look at me like that.
Those are the toppings you go with?
Degenerates.
Yeah, that's what I always do.
Don't tell me Garrett ate that.
Disgusting.
You know damn well I didn't eat that, Jacob.
I typically only eat 8 wings, but they were feeling very generous and gave us like 30. So I think I ate like 11 or 12. So maybe just like those extra wings just threw everything out of whack, just tipped me over the scale, and that's what ruined everything. So,
But you lived to tell the tale, thankfully.
yeah, I did.
So
And I'll do it again.
You're gonna do it all again.
all over again. Yeah, there's been little acts of kindness in my life regarding food. Weirdly enough, over the course of this pandemic, like the wing thing last night was one, and another one recently is when I wanted to try the banana pudding donut from Krispy Kreme, and I tried on 3 separate occasions and could never get one because they're always sold out. And the last day I went, I asked for one, and it was still on the sign that they had them. And he's like, "Oh, that ended yesterday." I was like, "Oh, bummer." I was like, "I never got to try one." I was like, "In that case, I'll just do one Krispy Kreme glazed donut." So I go up to the window, and he gave me 3.
Wow.
Yep. I was like,
What a
"Well,
champ.
thank you, sir." And then, of course, I asked him out, and we've been dating ever since. But
Oh, cool.
no, the little acts of kindness throughout the course of the pandemic have been all about food for the most part.
The real heroes of the virus. Yeah.
Seriously. So that was nice. But yeah, a lot of great food in spite of it nearly killing us.
Yeah.
But glad everyone's doing well. You guys want to talk about what we've been playing?
I'd love to.
Sure.
Kyle, batter up, man. Let's hear it.
Oh, no. Okay. So I am, as you call, an eccentric, right? So I play weeb games.
Oh.
So I have one weeb game before everyone leaves and stops listening.
Is this the mobile game?
It is. So now everyone will completely disregard. Now listen, just because it's a mobile game doesn't mean it's that bad. It's actually one of the best mobile games I've played. And this company is also making a new game. I don't know if you guys might have heard of it. It's called Genshin Impact. And it's like a Breath of the Wild bootleg, but
Yeah,
with
I've seen
anime
some stuff from
characters.
that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it does look cool. And I think it comes out, they say the the tentative release date will be like before October. So I don't know when it's coming out, but it looks really cool. And this game is their like first big hit. It's called Honkai Impact Third, and it plays kind of like, so like you have Dante and Devil May Cry, right? And he has each of his weapons, and you switch amongst his weapons while you fight. Imagine each one of those weapons being a waifu. And then, so that's how you play. So that's how you play, and you fight in combat. So you have a character that can go and do a combo, and then they could, if they hit certain conditions in combat, they can call in like a second character, and then they could come in and attack, and then they can. So you're kind of fighting amongst a kit of 3 people, and like weaving them in and out of combat, and it's really fun, and it looks gorgeous. I don't know how it runs, what it does, but it runs at 60. I have a Note 9, but there's also a PC client. Okay, so you can play on your phone, but you could download it on the computer and play on the computer, and it's got a pretty good story. I've been surprised how invested I've been, but that's all about that. It's very fun, but that's that. Besides that, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. Always got to get a little bit of time in the crack addiction, just because
I can relate.
Exactly. So where Jacob's on the WoW side, I'm on the 14 side. I've also been mount grinding. So this is the topic this week: mount grinding and MMOs. But I just recently got to the big 5-0. I got 50. But that,
how many mounts are in the game?
Oh, I think like around 120, I think. Okay. Maybe less, because they introduced content called trials, which are like, because the biggest content you can do in 14 is 24-man alliance raids, which are like a little bit easier. The hardest stuff in the game is 8-man content. So you'll have a party of 8. So instead of having like big 40-man or 24-man instances that have the mechanics in them, they'll have like tighter mechanics, but amongst 8 people. Okay. So they have like a savage tier, which is some of their hardest, and they have an ultimate tier, which is like only like 0.5% of the community is actually completed. Yeah. And those all drop mounts. Mm-hmm. The savage tier does at the final fight of the tier will drop a mount. They could be anything from, they get kind of goofy with it. Like one of them's literally one of the raid bosses, and you just ride on his back, and it's Ramu. So if you ever played like I don't know if they have him in the remake for 7, Ramu as a summon, but he's been in Final Fantasy games forever. Ramu, they have but they have all their like typical fare for Final Fantasy. So it's pretty much like where World of Warcraft took all the Warcraft stuff and crunched it together into a cool world. That's what Final Fantasy does, but for all of the Final Fantasy games. So you'll have reoccurring characters. Yeah, and
they'll borrow stuff from different games.
And they'll bring it into this universe kind of thing. Cool. They also do crossovers too, which is a little bit on the weirder side, because you wouldn't expect, like, why the hell is Noctis in my world in his car? And I could ride his car. Okay, I'm kind of interested. But like you can get, it's just kind of weird, like being in the middle of a fantasy forest, and you got some dude drive by in the Noctis car with his 4 like friends chilling with him. I don't know, it's kind of odd, but it's cool when you actually fly it. It transforms into its flying version too. But I've been playing that. The main thing that keeps me drawn to that game isn't really the grind, but more of the story. I think the story in that game is absolutely phenomenal. And it's one of the better Final Fantasy stories I've participated in, especially with the inclusion of Shadowbringers, which came out recently. But it's been great. I adore that game so much. And that was also something that was kind of spurred on, because I remember Preston picked it up and he was talking about it. And at the same exact time, Sean, my friend, he also was saying, hey, because we were playing ESO. It was dark times. So we didn't know how good it could get, because we were stuck in again, we were in our ways. And then so we moved to 14. I eventually moved to WoW. I played at the launch of BFA for my friend Nick, who is like Jacob's addiction on steroids. This man plays every night. He raids like I think 4 or 5 days out of the week. He raids. He is bad. And
that's like a lifetime commitment there.
He has been playing for a long time. We got him to move over to 14 for a bit, and he loved Shadowbringers, but it doesn't have as much like raw content as WoW would. And I think part of that is because WoW's very RNG heavy. So they'll sit there and be like, you want a good piece of gear? You have to run this like 150 times. In fact, you didn't get Titan Forge 250 times.
I'm so glad they took that out of the game.
And that's how you get your stuff. And I'm glad that they're moving away from it too. And I actually am kind of excited for Shadowlands.
Oh, really?
All these shadow things. I don't know if I'll play it. I might watch it. I actually watch a lot of Asmongold, even though I don't play the game, just because he's a smart and charismatic dude. I think he's awesome. But what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I played WoW in BFA.
Mm-hmm.
The launch of BFA was trash.
Yeah.
So I fell away from WoW. And my friends been trying to get me back, but it's kind of hard, like, to play 2 MMOs at a time. Like, that's a huge commitment.
It's a monumental task, unless you're just playing them both really casually.
Yeah, so I just stick with 14. 14's a little bit more lenient on gear acquisition and stuff like that. So I don't have to spend months of my life to get best in slot equipment. I can just do the new content and have it. But then after I'm done, I'm just kind of, hey, what do I do now? But I'd rather have it that way. And I think the devs have even come out themselves and said, hey, don't burn yourself out on the game. If you're starting to feel that, just unsubscribe. Go play something else and then come back later. And I thought that was really cool because they're like, yeah, we know that we don't have the most content, but we're not here to keep you playing till your thumbs fall off. We want to provide a cool world, cool story, and you can hop in and out of it at your leisure. I really do like the devs for 14. They're awesome. Yeah. But outside of that, I've been getting into Valorant more and more. I've played Valorant since launch here and there, mostly with friends, but I've been playing more solo because they announced a new character called Killjoy.
I saw that.
Who looks pretty cool, but she's a waifu, so that's the important part. And
that's why you're playing.
Exactly. So I have to get good for when she launches, so I can be decent. But I that's one of the most, because I think tax shooters are really rewarding, and when you do well. But in the same vein, when you're doing bad, you feel so awful. Like in COD, you kind of just like respawn, you're back in it. But if you miss a shot or get clapped in Valorant, you're just there looking at your teammates, and you just kind of suffer for the end of the round. But when you're popping off and doing well, get a 5-man ace or whatever, it's just so satisfying. And they really built the game around that too, because they have these things called, I think they're called streaks, but every gun skin has its own thing of a streak where if you get a kill and it starts an ace, you'll have a little notch pop up in the middle of your screen at the bottom, and it will make a noise. And as you get more kills in that streak, that noise will get like louder and louder until it erupts when you get like the 5-man ace. So as you're fighting, say if you like swing a corner, kill 2 dudes and like hit 2 headshots, you have almost like this fanfare for your play in the background. And then when you get to the 5th one, you're like, it just like explodes. So it gets you really hype when you're like in those clutch moments and you're hitting your shots. And I've never played something that's felt better in the realm of a shooter than getting an ace in Valorant, especially. And every gun skin has a different like sound effect for when you're popping off those $900 guns and stuff like that.
I saw that dragon skin that they made, and that thing is cool. Man.
They released like one like a week after that's called Oni, and it's like a Japanese theme skin, and I don't really know how to explain it outside of that. It's cool looking though, but it has like the same thing, and it has like green effects, and like they all have their cool reload animations and stuff like that. But the dragon skins are cool. I bought one, so but I'm bad with that because I think because I played a lot of League of Legends for like 7 or 8 years, and I've probably spent like I spent a lot of money on League of Legends, probably close to like.
You don't have to talk about it. It's okay.
It's fine. I have to deal with these repercussions. I probably spent about like $2,000 in that game. Nice. I think you could check, but when you stretch it out over 7 years, that may not be as bad.
Yeah, I mean, I probably spent $2,000 on coffee in like the last year.
Yeah, I don't even want to know how much money I've spent on fast food in Taco Bell. Like,
exactly. So it's
probably most of the money I've made.
What if they come out with that though? Like you can become like a pro member to Taco Bell. They give you a really nice looking card or something, and it shows you this is how much you've supported Taco Bell, and it's like $30,000 or something. Yeah. You could start your own branch in the corner. Get your own Taco
or just
Bell.
Join their board at that point.
Franchise.
Call all the shots.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I bought 400 quesaritos. You better let me make these decisions. I'm here now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Valorant because it's like that one game that I really want to play, and I think it's a really cool game. I was never good at it because I played it a lot during the beta, back when you could get access through Twitch and just watching streams. So I watched. It actually took me a few days to get into it, but I eventually did get in, and I think Kyle, we actually played together several times.
We
did. With a big group, and it was really fun. But it's just like I don't have time to play it anymore, especially like since I'm like playing a lot of WoW now, and then also I'm trying to, like, it seems like every other week a new game is coming out, like Ghost of Tsushima or like The Last of Us. So that's taking like all my other time.
I think we lost Jacob.
Oh no! Does this happen often?
No, it doesn't actually. It might be actually my internet here at my parents' place is very slow. But while we wait on him, I was going to say.
Welcome back, good sir.
Oh, perfect.
Hey. Where did I?
So as you were saying about, there he is again. He's gone. As long as his audio doesn't die on us, we're good. But yeah, I haven't played Valorant much, but the way you're describing it makes me more interested to try it again.
It's definitely a difficult game to get into. I'm not gonna lie, because tac shooters really ask a lot from you when it comes to like what you need to be doing, because it's all about movement, aim, recoil control. They're more of the more demanding like shooters when you get down to it. So it's definitely something that you have to like sit down. It takes a lot to pick up, unfortunately. But
yeah, I think that's what's kind of turned me off to it, because I do think it looks super cool. I like watching people play it. Yeah, but I don't really want to spend the time or have the time
I feel that.
to sit down and like actually get good. Like if I'm in the mood for an FPS, I want to play something I can casually pick up and like you said, not just die and have people, the whole like social aspect of that game of not playing well and people getting mad at me and stuff.
In the middle of a clutch and dropping it, and then you're like, oh no, they saw that. They saw that.
I'm definitely not up for that at the moment.
Yeah, so. It's definitely one of those like where if you stop. Now, obviously, they have MMR and stuff, but it's one of those things where if you stop playing, you feel like you fall behind. And it's modeled a lot after Counter-Strike 1.6, which is something I played a shitload of Counter-Strike over the years. And it was crazy because how I feel so blessed today having like a decent computer that could run everything and high fidelity, high frame rates. I was playing on a crappy laptop, like 20 frames a second. Everything on low, so it looked like it was like 640p. I couldn't see anything, and I played Counter-Strike that way, and that's how I started to build some of that legacy skill. I am not good. I'm not a good player. Don't get me wrong. So legacy skill kind of means nothing because I still suck. But it's definitely one of those games where even if you get good and you stop playing, you'll fall out of it. Like you can not ruin, but you can lose how good you are at your aim over time by just stopping to play. Like if I'll go like a week, say I'm on a 14 binge or something, like, oh, I'm gonna play some 14, do some stuff. I want to try and get some stuff done, preparing for the next patch or whatever. And I stop playing for a week. I go back to Valorant. It's like the first day I've started playing the game again. I'm just trash. I can't hit anything, and you have to kind of get back into that cycle. So it's not only demanding to learn and start, you got to keep up with it. So I 100% like anyone that doesn't stick with Valorant or they just play it for friends, and it's not really rewarding to the casual player, like Preston was saying, 100%. And it kind of sucks. I love Riot, and I think their tendency for like visual flair and all of that really shows in Valorant, and it shows in League and all the other games, and that's what I love the most. Like I love the look of the abilities. I love the music they use. I love their promotional material and all of that. It's excellent. So that's why I usually stick with Riot games. But yeah, I love Valorant. Nice. It's good.
Dude, I think I'd probably kill it now that you describe it that way, because I played a lot of CSGO on Xbox 360. So I think just naturally, like transitioning, I'd probably very easily go pro. I mean, I don't mean to boast or anything. I'm just like, I was really good at CSGO on 360. So.
Yeah, 100%. You should get in there.
Thanks for the encouragement, man.
Yeah, get in an org, get set up.
A few weeks there where me and you played that quite a bit.
I know, it was fun. It was good. Is that all you've been playing? You've been playing more?
You've been
playing Tsushima, haven't you?
I have been.
Nice.
I had an issue where it was on my PS4. So I can't play anything else because Sony put games on PC already. I hate this. But I had my TV back
Hey, you got
behind me.
Horizon coming out this month.
Yeah, I have the TV back here. It pooped out on me, so I can't use it for anything anymore. Like the HDMI plug in it doesn't work. Like if it even shifts, if you fart in the same room, there's a little bit of vibrations that will wiggle out and you lose it.
You got some powerful farts.
I will wiggle out and I'll lose it. So I have to face it. I basically plug it into my monitor and just play it on my desk. I got like a 15-foot HDMI cable, and I'll just play it at my desk. I could pretend that I'm playing it on my computer. But it's great. I love Tsushima, and I love what they did with the game, and I'm a sucker for really well designed open worlds, like good color usage, and I think Tsushima is probably some of the best we've seen in just open world design. Like you guys have said, and everyone has said, it's not the prettiest game, but with the art design and with the way they've developed the worlds, it fills all the gaps, and it still makes that experience worthwhile, even on older hardware. And again, all this crap, PC Master Race, we're all messing around for the most part. No one really thinks that. Mm-hmm. Listen, I'm trying to make up for it. Oh, excuse me. Really, it's just so good. And it's one of those things where I'm playing other games. I have a lot that I'm playing at the same time, but the moment I jump in to Tsushima, it's not Tsushima, according to Sam. Mm-hmm. It's Tsushima. So the moment I jump into Tsushima, I'll play for like 7 hours, and I'm like, wow, holy crap, my day's gone. And it happens every time I sit down to play it. So if I don't have the time, I'll hop on and do something else. Like I'll play a match of Valorant, play some 14 and do something for that day, or even like Honkai or something, and I'll stick in something else when I know I have less time. But if I have like a Saturday that I could sit down and just go ham and get a really good session in, I'll plug in the PS4 and be like, we're gonna play some Tsushima today. So I used to be where I have to finish this as fast as I can, just because I want to get into it, get out of it kind of thing. But now I'm kind of, especially as you get older, you get in that stage where like, I'm just going to take my time with things, right? Like I'm going to enjoy this to a better, just like to the fullest I can. So when I do have the time, I'll hop in. And I think it was Friday, I sat down for like 6 or 7 hours. I'm almost into Act 2. So I've been exploring the second part of the islands. I've also given up on doing all the open world stuff because I think I'm going to go through the main story first and then return to everything else. Because I was trying to figure out how I wanted to go about like taking that task on. Especially, I hate the fog of war. I'm not going to lie to you boys. I hate it. I hate that I would rather very much like, now I don't know if this is the case, so prove or correct me if I'm wrong, but if you complete every outpost in an area, does it illuminate the whole island, or do you still have to walk around?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank God. But because there's some games I have played where you'll do everything, but you'll still have to walk to those areas. So you'll have a whole island done, and you look in the corner, and there's like 3 pixels of fog of war, and you're like, well, I'm not done with this island yet. And you got to trek yourself all the way down so you complete, and so the whole island shows. But that's good. That makes me happy. So all I got to do is the outposts, because I know that they revealed a little bit of the map. I just didn't know if they did all of it. But so that's good, because I hate that when like I don't have a full map showing. It's just the OCD kicks in and I freak out. But it's a great game. Combat's excellent. I like the story, and I like Jin as a character. I wish they went more into the whole abandoning your honor, because like in Kurosawa cinema, like there's like always like really, there's a few like really big themes. Like you'll have betrayal. It's always something that's huge. It's always betrayal. This is the whole idea of honor in the first place. But the second one is honor, like following your code, doing all that. And I think that in order to get you in the gameplay quickly, they kind of just they go over it fast. It's like, okay, we're having problems now, we're stabbing dudes in the neck. And it does harken back to it. Like he'll be chilling. Have you guys gotten to that point? I'm pretty sure you have, where if you are doing ghost maneuvers or whatever in the middle of combat, Jin will have like a flashback to his uncle, like berating him about the honor and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. I wasn't expecting
I do
that
think
at
the
all.
game does a really good job of like Like whenever you're around like characters, they'll always be like, "Why did you just go
Kyle,
stab
I was
that
going
guy?"
to say, I'm
like
glad
that?
you're bringing this up because I've actually had many revelations in Tsushima since, or Tsushima, excuse me, since the last time we talked on this podcast. And it's interesting you bring up those story points because, you know, even just last week, I was like, oh, you know, I think like the story's fine. Like I don't care that much about anyone, but I've reached a point in the story. I'm actually in Act 3 right now. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the story beats that have occurred since even Act 2 really surprised me how much I enjoyed them. And I've now come to not only admire many of the characters, but the story, although it is following like what many describe as like the classic Kurosawa samurai film arcs.
Yeah.
They expand upon those ideas that are just very briefly explored at the beginning, and they just go even further when you get further into the game.
That's good to hear.
So that's what I love about the game is that not only has because initially I just thought like, oh, gameplay is like very addicting. Like you said, whenever I sit down to play it, it's hard for me to stop because it's just so much fun to play. Like the loop, like it's weird because I'm doing the same things. Like I get in a fun fight. I go into a camp and liberate it. I rescue someone. I follow a fox. I follow a bird. I do a bamboo strike. But everything I'm doing, like I'm never bored. It's like it's just so much fun to play.
That's crazy.
And
like, that's all it is with like video games, man. Like you'll sit down and you think about it. Every game you ever played, you're doing the same thing over and over again. They just do enough to change it up every time where you're like, you feel like it's still new or it's still fun. And I think that's probably a lot why they introduced the new enemies in the new areas and the different mechanics that come into play. I did not mean to interrupt you. You continue. I'm sorry.
No, dude, you're good. Because I feel exactly the same. Like the combat, like I said, still remains to be my favorite part about the game because just no matter who I'm fighting, wherever I'm at the game, it is always a good time, especially when you're just nailing the moves. But like you said, like, I mean, I think that's why I'm always entertained is because whether I'm fighting, finding a new cosmetic item, which is one of my favorite things to do is like stumble upon a new katana or like a mask or something, a bamboo strike, whether it's a hot spring, like all those things I'm jumping to just over and over and over again is always fun to me. And I told Preston yesterday, I think I finally decided I am going to platinum this game because I've always kind of stood by like I'm only going to platinum games that I like absolutely love playing. Yeah. And this has over time become one of those games. So I'm probably going to platinum it. But yeah, since last week, although Jin is for the most part very one note, the beats that occur with his character and those he interacts with further into the game make them more interesting. So I'm really, really enjoying it.
That's good to hear. Yeah. Because I do agree that like he's not all that deep, understandably so. And I hope no one assassinates me, but I don't think from what I've seen, I haven't seen a lot of like samurai cinema, but a lot of it really isn't all that deep. So I don't know if it was an ode. Now it doesn't excuse what can be considered better writing if it is poor to some people. But like if they were using that as an ode to what the movies usually do, then I don't know.
Yeah, one could argue they nailed it in that sense.
Yeah. Like it really depends. A lot of them, they're more about the flair, right? Like the cinematography, the look, and I think in the game they nail that so well. Like I remember the first fight in Castle Kunita, I think, or the first end of the first act, that fight with I'll just say betrayal because that's 90% of the game. But with the betrayal in the castle, that first fight is so cool in the water with you have the little paper lanterns floating in the water and you have the red maple tree behind you. Like I was like, damn, this is awesome. Like the music flaring, it was so cool. And I thought it was dope. A lot of the duels, even when you go after the legendary pieces, like you go after the longbow or even like one of the mythical attacks, Unrelenting Strike or Heavenly Strike or whatever, and you have that field where I'm trying not to spoil it because it's a really cool moment, and I'd rather someone like experience
like
that like raw.
It.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. You're fighting the dude on the hill, and there's immaculate weather, or not immaculate. I don't know what the word is. There's weather. There's bad weather going on, but it was cool.
Yeah, inclement.
That's what it was. I was thinking of that helmet in Halo Reach.
It's okay. It's before noon. It's still morning.
Yeah. It's these waffles. They're killing me.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring some negativity to all this like sunshine pumping over here.
Sweet.
But I had to turn on performance mode because my frame rate is just atrocious on my console, I think.
Yeah, it's so weird that that's happening because that hasn't happened for me.
Dude, it's the second area is just like destroying my PlayStation or something. It's insane the like not only are there just drops every now and then, but like when I entered kind of like the main town area of the second act, it's like a solid 15 frames like throughout the entire town.
Damn.
And I know I'm like the only person having these issues, so it's got to be my PlayStation, I guess.
You have like 4 PS4 Pros. Can't you try another one?
I could. I have 2, thank you. Yeah, I've just turned it to performance mode, and I've had 0 issues at this point. So
Cool.
Of course, like initially seeing the lower resolution obviously doesn't look as good, but I'm used to it now, and it still looks freaking beautiful. It's just in 1080p, I guess. So I'm fine with that for now, to not have any graphical hiccups or anything. But that probably is a good idea. I'll download it on my other one just to see if I'm having the same issues or not. But yeah, I can't remember if it was it last week's podcast that you said you just beelined it for that armor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did later that night, I finished the first act, and I did the exact same thing as you. Like, the second anybody tells me about some sort of armor, like, that's of course the first thing I'm going to be, that's the first thing I'm going to do, because essentially I think like 80% of this game is me just trying to look cool.
Yeah, same.
Got to look cool running around and stuff. Beating the first act, up until that point, I thought the story was okay. But finishing that first act really made me care a lot more about the whole honor thing, like you are talking about, because I'm just so interested to see where this goes. Because obviously Jin eventually becomes the Ghost of Tsushima, so I'm just very interested to see how Jin's uncle and who's the woman at the village? Is he related to her?
Yuna?
No, the older woman.
Oh, Lady Mazako?
No,
Yeah,
the
Lady
one who helps get your armor.
Oh,
Who, what?
that might
The
be
one
Lady
who helps you
Masako.
get your armor. Is she
Oh,
related
that
to
lady.
him?
I think she was like the maid or like the something.
Yeah. So I guess just Jin's family and just people close to him. Just I'm interested to see how they're just like gonna react and like eventually feel about Jin as he like I said, eventually becomes like a full on ninja.
Mhm.
So that's very interesting to me.
Other people have made this comparison. I've kind of like understood it more now. They kind of call him like the Japanese Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like
Yeah.
very much feels like Batman
It's
Yeah.
cool.
in a good way. My favorite armor, I won't spoil it for those who haven't found it. Like I can name it. I just won't describe it in case you want to like find it for yourself. But the Kensei armor, Preston's seen it at this point, but fully upgraded Kensei armor is so sick. And I love the Ghost armor too, but Kensei is my favorite by far.
So for the full on samurai armors, do you guys go helmet or no helmet?
No helmet.
Yeah, I go no helmet as well.
If I'm wearing the samurai armor, I put the helmet on.
Yeah, you look
Yeah,
like
you
a
would,
samurai.
Jacob. I bet you wore a helmet while skating too when you were a kid. Loser.
Yeah, maybe.
Toxic.
Yeah, I wore elbow pads too, dude.
I can't do stealthy things with like a giant helmet with horns sticking up and stuff like.
But you'll wear the lampshade when you're being stealthy.
Yeah. Hey, I have a solution to this. I get the best of both worlds. So on the big enemy camps, the ones that are meant to be like the biggest of them all, I intentionally put on the Sakai armor with the helmet, because not only is it my highest melee damage, but it's my highest standoff count as well. I can do up to like 5 slashes with that
That's
armor on.
crazy.
And it gives me a reason to like go in there and just like full take on the whole army in full armor. But most of the time I'll wear like Kensei or Ghost to do like, because I like mixing stealth and combat together just to make it more interesting. Like I'll go into a farm to like liberate hostages, for example, and to make it as fun as possible, because the stealth is pretty standard, but when you're fully upgraded, you can make it pretty interesting, because I'll sprint in, throw out my kunai are fully upgraded, so I'll throw out like 2 or 3 kunai and like kill 3 guys at once, stealth kill another one, run up a thing, bow a guy, and like jump off and do like a triple assassination, and like all in a matter of like 10 seconds. And I'm like, that was sick. And then like someone will see me, I'll do a real sword fight. But some of the funny stuff, not to go on a huge tangent of the negativity, but it is hilarious how dumb the AI is, because one of my favorite things to do, I was telling Preston about this, is that people have their homes with these sliding doors and you're supposed to like slide in and out of them. But my favorite thing to do is just slice the door open and walk in, and they don't even react and they just steal all their stuff. But that sound is so loud, but no one in the game reacts to it. Like even enemy NPCs don't realize you can be right next to them, slash the door open, and they won't even notice.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. So the AI is kind of dumb. There's a lot of investigation missions where it's like very Witcher 3. We're like, oh, footprints. Oh, there's blood over here. It's almost like every side mission I do, like I'm almost like having to mentally prepare myself. I'm like, I have to look at some more footprints I've had. But that, a couple of follow missions in the game that aren't too thrilling. But aside from that, like, I think the missions, even though it is almost always results in just some kind of sword fight or stealth sequence, it's still super fun. And the two things I wrote down this week that I really appreciate is that, like you were saying, Kyle, not only is it just a beautiful world, but they've made it very fun to explore. And like we said, the wind is a big contributor to that. And I also love how you can track wind to like very specific things. Like I only want to track fox dens, or I only want to track hot springs. And of course, my favorite is just tracking all the vanity items. So that's a fun way to explore more of the world and find discoveries, is when you're looking intentionally for stuff to make you look cool. There's fun stuff to find along the way.
Yeah.
And I was totally unaware until just recently that the flute changes the weather. I thought it was just like a commodity in the game. Like, oh, cool, I can play the flute. But it's funny because I do so much stealth at times where it's like constantly thunderstorming. But thankfully, Sucker Punch realized that'd probably get annoying, so you can just flute the storms away. You're good. So
I wish that was a real thing.
Enjoy
Play
playing
the
it.
Song of Storms, bro.
Yeah. So
one interesting
Killer
thing you
game.
said with the AI is when you have the lower level of assassinations, like Jin struggles a bit. Like he takes a second to kill him, so you'll go to stab him in like the stomach or something, and he's screaming, he's singing, he's vibing, and you got his friend right next to him, just looking out the way. He's like,
yep.
yeah. I wonder who's screaming like that. That better not be Billy.
Yeah,
You're just
but man, that
shaking
melee
and stuff.
combat thrives, dude. It is
It's
just
so good.
so much fun.
I don't
Every
even
single
stealth.
fight.
I run into a camp, 30 dudes. I stand off, and then I get clapped, and then I keep trying until I eventually get it. So tenacity.
Yeah, I'll usually
Nothing
go
more
into like a
satisfying than
camp
taking
and
on a full camp.
I'll usually go into a camp and I'll like take out a few guys stealthily, and then I'll be like, yeah, this is kind of boring, man. Like, and if I don't feel like I'm gonna get too overwhelmed, I'll just go in and like stand off and take some guys on. And
I also love starting fights by just slaughtering a leader. Have you guys unlocked that ability after you upgrade all your stances? You can just chop their head off right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about that.
I've upgraded all my stances, but I haven't.
Okay. Maybe it's when you it's whenever you can't stop. I think when you upgrade them, it gives you the option, because you can no longer just analyze them. You can either just attack them, right? Because remember, you'd sneak up to them before, it'd be like critical strike. Well, now you can literally just chop their head off, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So it's a fun way to just alert a camp, because half the guys will run off after you do that.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember. Is the wind stance the third one you get, or is it the moon?
The wind is
Moon
the
is
third.
the fourth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
Moon's
like
against Bruce.
I'm like 1 point away from getting moon. So I almost have all the stances, and I got to say they make the game really easy. Like the game is so easy right now. Like I think I'm at the last mission before the second act. So I'm like I spent the whole week just doing just the side activities. Like I pretty much cleared the whole bottom half of the map as much as I could, and I've like upgraded my what's the stealth armor called? I'm struggling to remember what that was.
Ghost armor? I don't know.
Ghost armor.
I know
Yeah.
Ghost you get in, right before Act 3. So it might be a different outfit.
I don't know. It's the one with like the big hat, whatever that is, or the lampshade hat.
I think that's
Ronan?
the. Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think you're right. But yeah, I've been wearing that armor, and I'll like put a different hat on or no hat, and yeah, and I'm just using all the stances, switching between them. Like if I got a spear guy, I'll go wind stance. Shields. What is it? Water, and then I'll keep switching. But yeah, the game has a really fun combat loop, and I'm probably tonight gonna push through to the second act, because I'm ready for that change. I'm ready for the new enemies. I'm ready to see what's gonna happen. So
You can't even complete an entire island until you move to the next island anyway. So
yeah,
if it's especially if it's getting that easy to you, you should probably progress on, because definitely the newer enemies are significantly harder.
okay, yeah.
And standoffs get harder with each act as well. Like act 3 standoffs are like very hit or miss for me, because the guys, if they don't hesitate or like fake me out multiple times, like I'm used to like Act 1, like they'll stand there, you can almost time it perfectly every time.
They always do.
Act
They do
3,
one hesitation, then you slash them. That's all they do.
So
in
Act 2
1.
it gets a little trickier, and then Act 3, dude, some guys will do like 30-second hesitations, it feels like, and then one guy will walk up to and he'll immediately attack you, so you're like, oh crap. So all of them are that's what I love. The game is just like it ages over time so well with the way it progresses, not only just with the exploration, but the combat, even the story I've grown to really like. So it's very quickly become one of my favorite games of the year, definitely.
Yeah,
Dope.
So
It's gonna be
that's
interesting.
all I
game of the
played
year
though. Did you guys
discussion.
play any? Oh yeah, definitely. Did you guys play anything else this week?
I played a little more WoW. I got a new mount this week, boys.
Hey,
I got a new little thing called the Rotfester. And he is a buzzard. He's a red buzzard. No, wait. He's a black buzzard. Excuse me. I already have a red buzzard from something else, but I got a recolor of the same buzzard, and he's black. So really exciting, you know. Then riding him around, he's a good boy. And I like him a lot.
When you have that many mounts, like how do you choose between which one you ride? Is it based on where
I
you're
usually
at? In the game?
ride the one that I most recently got until I get another one.
Can you set like random, like pull out a random mount?
No, he's gone again. Goodness gracious, Jacob.
Shit. I want to know if he takes away all his recolors, how many mounts he has left.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Mount grinding sounds remarkably suggestive, but I'm happy you guys have a wide assortment of mounts to ride.
The thought, the feeling you get thinking about it is the same feeling we have grinding them, so don't worry about it.
Oh, great.
That's good.
I'm glad to hear that. Jacob, you good, man?
Dude, my internet is awful today. I'm sorry.
Now we can't even hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
Oh, hello.
As long as your audio hasn't stopped, the video's not a big deal.
Yeah, I haven't
Perfect.
stopped anything. But yeah, my internet is crappy this morning. Sorry.
That's all good, man. At least you have that red buzzard.
Yeah.
I thought it was black.
It's black buzzard, actually.
Yeah.
I thought you said you had a red one.
Well, I do. But
Oh, so you
now
have
the
two
black
different
one
colored
too.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You got the two
Jacob.
best colors. You got the IOG colors.
If you take away your recolors, how many mounts do you have?
That's a good question. Probably not nearly as many. A lot of them are recolors, unfortunately. That's what Blizzard's given me, you know? Like I can only collect what they give me. So, but most of the ones that I've been farming are ones that I can just farm and kill like once a day. So, or like on multiple characters. So that takes up a lot of my time. And other than that, I just raid. And I still can't get those stupid weapons, man. Like it is pissing me off. The other rogue in the raid got his second one, and I can't even get my first one.
Can he give those to you?
Can he give them to me?
Yeah.
He could, but he can't now because he has them equipped. They're what's called soulbound. Like once you equip them, you can't give them to someone else anymore.
Interesting. Yeah. I think it'd be more satisfying to earn it yourself anyway.
Yeah. Well, you only have one rogue in your group that raids?
Two. Well, including me, too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the next one that drops is going to you, right? Passing it on?
I guess so, yeah.
You get the hand-me-downs, right?
Yeah. And I'm the one that shows up every week. That's the worst problem. Like, I'm the one that's there every week. I'm the one that puts in the work. I'm the one that does the most damage. But he's getting
Don't
rewarded.
get discouraged, Jacob. It's just going to be that much more satisfying when you get it.
Put some respect
because you know you
I
put the
hate
work
this
in.
That's my friend. My friend Dick is the same way, bro. He'll be on for a long night. He'll come into the call at the end of his raid, and he'll come in. He's like, "Man, I hate this game."
It's so dumb,
and it
man.
repeats every night. It's like the next night he comes in. Man, I hate this game. Blizzard
And like
shit.
even worse, like the weapons drop at the very end of the raid. Like it's like one of the last 3 bosses. So I have to sit through the whole raid, show up every week, and like even the first raid day, like we don't get to where like the boss is that drops my weapons. So I have to show up the next day if I want to get rewarded, and I never do, of course. So
That's okay.
here we are.
Don't
But
worry,
that's all
I'll
I played.
come around next expansion, Jacob.
Yeah.
You'll get all your best in slot.
Yep. I am excited for Shadowlands too, though. It looks
dope.
promising. There's a couple things that look kind of, but we'll see. There's still time. They're actually listening to the community a lot this time around, unlike BFA. So
That's good.
it looks promising. But that's all I played, Mr. Garrett.
Nice. I have played something else this week that I have a preview coming to COG later this week for it. I think it's very obvious what it is, but I'm not allowed to say. But excited to talk about that as well because it's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to hear people around the industry talk about this because most people I've talked to about it that have played it so far kind of feel the same way I do. But I'm wondering if there's anyone that like thinks it's terrible, if there's anyone that thinks it's amazing. So it'll be cool. But excited to talk about that in like a couple of days. But other than the games we've been playing, you guys want to jump into the news?
Yeah.
Kyle, before I read kind of like the follow-up to Infinite or 343 kind of discussing like the criticisms for Infinite's reveal and Halo, what are your initial thoughts on this demo? Because I've given it a lot of thought myself, and I've kind of come around to what they're doing. I'm not horribly concerned about it, but I'm definitely like cautiously optimistic. How do you feel about
it? It definitely looks. It feels like it looks last gen, and I think it may be again because they're having it like, hey, we got this old Xbox, we got this new Xbox, we want them on both, and that's fine. And I think if the gameplay's there, at the end of the day, I'm not going to care. I'm really not going to care at the end of the day. As many memes you make about a monkey face, what's his name? Didn't they name him? It's Craig, right? Yeah, Craig, our boy Craig. I want to find him in game. But as many memes as you make or talk about the thing, initially I was a little bit held back, and now especially with them coming out and saying that the multiplayer is going to be free to play, which we'll discuss and stuff like that, I'm just reserved at this point. Like, I really hope it's good. I did not like the loot box stuff they did in Halo 5. So I think we might see something like that return. I hope not, especially with the backlash loot boxes have received.
I think they said they're doing like a battle pass.
Battle pass? Yeah, I think they
They're
have
very
that
like Modern Warfare in that sense, I guess.
They have that in Master Chief Collection too, if I recall, the battle passes. So
yeah, one of the quotes here on the article that I pulled out says, Jerzix reassured fans that Halo Infinite will not include real money loot boxes.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad that that's not in there, because a lot of what people wanted with this was, like I said, I don't know if I put in the question I asked last week, but like a return to form. And just some people feel like they haven't gotten that. That's to each their own. I think if the gameplay's there, which is what I come to Halo for, and the story isn't Halo 4 or 5, then I'll be happy. And I'm glad it'll be on PC. So it will look better for me, or hopefully. Oh man!
At the very least, run well.
Yeah, at least run
Hopefully.
well. At least run well. But if the gameplay's there, I don't care. I love some of the stuff that has gone under. Oh, I think you guys talked about it last week. Never mind. With the stuff with them punting grunts, they could yeet grunts at you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool.
That and like throw fusion coils is kind of interesting.
Oh no, the actual the banish,
like the banish will throw them at you and stuff.
Yeah, they'll throw it like the suiciders that would normally run at you in 3 and all that. They'll actually pick them up and toss them like a football, which I think is cool. But it's definitely they have to nail the gameplay, and I hope they do, because the open world doesn't really interest me. I've always really thought of Halo as like kind of like an Uncharted kind of experience, where it's like this really well built, a lot of creative control in their map design, and they know exactly where they want you to go. But with open world, you have to kind of you have to kind of fall back a bit on the creative control, because you have to give people the freedom to take an area from different angles and stuff, right? But it really depends how they do it, because if they just put you in a bigger map, so say like they just take the sandbox that they normally do in Halo and make it a bit bigger, then that's not that bad. But then I'm like, why would they use the word open world as a sting word to PR if what they've done in Halo is what they're doing again? Because then they just say sandbox or return to form or something like that. So I don't know, the word open world, the terminology they're using as they describe the game, it just has me a little bit worried. But I think 343 has been listening to the community, and I'm hoping that they'll be applying that to this game, because I love Halo. It's one of my favorite franchises, and I would really love this game to be something that would keep me in it for a really long time after I finish the story. So I'm hoping everything's good, but
definitely
never know.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of Halo. No, I wouldn't really call them Halo YouTubers, but YouTubers who cover Halo quite a bit. And they've all made some interesting points that have maybe think about it in a better light. Like they said, like a day and night cycle certainly has potential of like at night, maybe the flood come out, or maybe there's some cool, like in this open world, there's like some cool horror, spooky moments that happen, or the potential of the open world, say like the demo we got was merely, there's 3 anti-aircraft cannons, go kill all of them. Like, yeah, I think the objective just being that simple is classic Halo in a sense. Like one thing I always harken back to, I think I mentioned this like in Halo 3, it just says kill the scarab, and you got to figure out how to kill the scarab. Yeah. There's multiple ways to bring it down. I can see the potential in Halo Infinite where you get to an area, it's like, there's 3 phantoms flying around, you got to kill all of them. But let's say you have an assault rifle and like a frag on you, and that's it. It'd be cool if you could like potentially grapple up to a phantom and like take it out that way. Or I've talked about people said you can literally grapple like from across a field into a vehicle, or grapple weapons to you. So the grapple hook in and of itself has a lot of potential to mix up the sandbox, and like the random encounters you could potentially have in this open world. Like say there's a small group of Marines pinned down by a turret or something, and they're like, we need your help to take this thing out, like team up with us. Maybe they can hop in your Warthog with you and gun as if they would in any classic Halo campaign. So there's certainly potential there. And I know they said I think they've talked about it updating over time with new missions and stuff. But Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, the graphics are the least of my concern. I'm not going to read through all these notes, but 343 did clarify that, it's intentionally, they wanted to go back to the quote unquote legacy aesthetics with a more vibrant palette and cleaner models. So I get what they're going for. I think it's just the quality of the textures people are primarily upset with, not necessarily the art design in and of itself, but if people, they want like Banished to be a little more scuffed up, maybe add some hair to those apes, and
Going with the lighting too, the draw distance was
yeah.
pretty wonky.
Yeah,
I do like in this. I believe they even admit that like we've seen the Digital Foundry videos. Like we understand like what y'all are talking about. So I think that's good.
Yeah, and it's I know initially people were like, oh, this is a demo back from June, but it turns out it was just a few weeks old. And I think either way, that's the thing about their response to this. It's on one hand, like I'm glad that they're being honest and open about what they're dealing with and how they're working on the game. But at the same time, like who in their right mind would put out that demo and not already recognize those issues if you're the developer of the game, especially the game director, like the game director of all people should be calling the final shots and what is presented and what isn't. And again, it could be just a Microsoft thing. They're like, hey, you guys have had 5 years to work on this game. Even if you had development issues figuring out the engine for the first couple of years, like we need to show this thing off. It needs to launch with the Series X, in spite of it being on all the other previous consoles. It may have been a cross between, it's not quite ready, but Microsoft needs it to be out and presented to the world because we've held off for so long. I don't know. But I think it's safe to assume 343 was aware of at least some of these complaints prior to even showing it off. But
for sure.
It's hard to say whether or not the gameplay trailer that I have also seen many times people claim, oh, this already looks better than the demo. I mean, it's easier to take footage from a trailer and polish the heck out of that versus like a live real-time demo that they recorded. So I don't know if like the gameplay trailer is a more stronger representation of where they're at now up until launch, or if they just polished that more so than they did the demo. But either way, as we know, if they plan to implement any of these changes that they claim they're either going to address or consider, with or without a beta, 343 is about to grind their asses off until we assume November when the game comes out. It's kind of a bummer to hear that they aren't entirely sure if we'll get a beta, because I think at the end of the day, like you said, Kyle, gameplay means far more to me than visuals. I mean, it can't look like total garbage, but at the same time, I don't need it to be the most breathtaking thing in the world. As long as that loop is fun, I'm more than likely to enjoy it. So it's a shame we may not be getting a beta, but we'll see. Cautiously optimistic. But aside from the visuals, let's talk about free-to-play multiplayer, because I think I'm clearly not the only one who said this, but that could either be a very good thing or a very bad thing. I think the positives are not only is it more accessible than ever being across all the previous Xbox models and PC, but with it being free-to-play, I think this is the best solution for Halo potentially coming back to the forefront of multiplayer competitive gaming. Even if people treat it more socially, I know Halo has always had that competitive edge and that competitive option, so it could very much have the largest player base it's had since Halo 3, potentially.
Yeah.
So that's a huge positive, and if it's Battle Pass style, like what Modern Warfare does, I wonder if the unlocks for armor and everything will be how they used to be, like you play and can unlock them by doing certain milestones, or the Battle Pass supersedes that or like unlocks them quicker, or if it's specific items that you can only get in Battle Pass and that's how they make all their money. I don't know. But how do you guys feel about that?
I think it's pretty like evident that almost every popular, I guess, esport or competitive game are free to play now. And I think they sort of took that and looked at their own game and they're like, do we really want to put I guess it's going to be $60 price point on just to get people into the game? Like, for some people, that's a big barrier to cross. And if it's just free to play, like they don't even have to buy the campaign or whatever other modes they're going to be putting alongside the game. Just to be able to jump into, a free to play Halo experience is going to be huge for the franchise. And I think it'll definitely, especially when it comes out, it's going to be pretty popular on Twitch and, all the other sites. So I think that's probably the main reason why they did it. And I imagine, like they said, they're not going to do loot boxes, but there will probably most certainly be either armor aesthetics or gun skins or something that they will sell to make money, I imagine. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I feel the same way. I think that it really comes down to how they do their progression. I hope there's enough when someone sits down and can't or is not willing to spend the money, they have a little bit there to chew on. And then for the people that want to go full blown pink Spartan that shoots out butterflies when they die kind of thing, they can just go to the store and get that. Because a lot of the argument with all this is it's like it's cosmetic. As long as it's not affecting gameplay, but they're able to monetize the game further for the people who are interested and invested, then power to them. And I'm okay with that. And I think that it's a smart move on Halo or on 343, but it really comes down. I think they need to have a good amount base. And then, if they have a store a la carte, obviously no loot boxes, that's great. Or if it's just a battle pass and you can get stuff through the battle pass, I'm fine with it. My problem with battle passes is I never finish them. So that's the only problem I have with them. Is the only time
I ever have was in Apex, back when I used to play that.
Nice.
So.
I think I've done one in Fortnite when my friends used to be really into it, and I've done even the Valorant one. I played a bunch of Valorant, and I have not finished the Valorant Battle Pass, and it ends like today or tomorrow or something like that.
I just thought about this. What if, thinking about it, it makes perfect sense. What if you're already a subscriber to Game Pass, you just have access to the Battle Pass?
I could see him doing it because they've been throwing everything on that. To me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Kyle, you bring up a good point though, because I feel like with a lot of free-to-play games, like people are usually upset, people that play the game, because there's way too many cosmetics tied to actually buying them as opposed to earning them in the game. And I feel like developers, they sort of skew towards spending money as opposed to earning them in games nowadays, especially in free-to-play games. So it'll be interesting to see, like, are people going to be happy? Is there going to be enough to just earn in the game where people feel rewarded? Or is it just strictly going to be, if you want these cool looking shoulder plates, you got to spend $10 or $20, whatever it's going to be. I hope it's not entirely like that, but
I can see it. First day game comes out, I boot it up, and I got the store there. Full Hayabusa set, $45, katana included. Oh, that'd be cool if that was the end of the Verse Battle Pass, though. Yeah. Like if you get all the way to the end, you get the katana Hayabusa set. That'd be pretty dope. But
make recon armor like actually rare again.
Yeah, that because that's another difficult thing. That's one issue people bring up a lot with like cosmetic stuff is like it's like the gear or the cool factor of acquired gear kind of lessens a bit when you look at someone and know that they spent money on it, right? Like they didn't work for it, they just bought it, right? Yeah. Like when you saw a recon set, when you saw a Hayabusa set in Halo 3, you're like, damn. Either I think wasn't recon just for Bungie employees?
I think initially it was,
and they okay, and then the set you got through the skulls, like you did the skull stuff to get the Hayabusa set with the katana. So like, but if you have a really cool set come out, I mean everyone knows you buy it. I had the same thing when they do like store mounts and like MMOs. Back to the MMOs. When they do like store mounts, like they could put a really cool mount in the store. But no one worked for that. It just looks cool, and they bought it for $10. And I feel it hurts the cool factor when I see something really dope, but I know that everyone that sees me using it will know I just bought it. I didn't.
Yeah, really you didn't earn it. You just paid for it.
It just kind of feels a little bit cheaper. But again, if this is how they feel is the right way to monetize their game, and they can get enough people in the ecosystem of the game, it's going to work out. I have no doubt it will. So I'm down for it, and it'd also be a lot easier to get my friends into it if they don't have to spend $60. So those big team battle, full imagine a big team battle with everyone in the community because no one has to pay for the game. Yep. You can get everyone into a big ass social group and just everyone playing together because it's free to play. And I think that's one of the things they're also trying to go for with how social Halo is as a franchise.
Yeah,
bring back Jenga.
That just sounds like a big deal too. Just like the new Halo game. If you have an Xbox or PC, like you get it. Like that's pretty. That sounds like a big deal.
Yeah.
In terms of like how I feel about it, I am kind of indifferent. I'm excited for it. I thoroughly enjoyed Halo 5's multiplayer. I know me and you got on like a massive kick with it for a while. Like I think we even bought the packs or whatever.
Yeah, the rec packs after a while. Like, dude, we're playing this so much, you may as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of exciting because you, I think when you bought them, you only got access to one a week or something like that. So when we would come back, it was like we would remember we'd get to unlock a bunch of crap. But I'm confident that I'm pretty confident that the gameplay is going to be, really good. At least just because, like I said, I thought Halo, I really enjoyed Halo 4 and 5, and I can't see it, just all of a sudden being like dog crap compared to those. So I'm fairly confident that, it'll be fun. So, but granted, I'm not a massive like Halo fan with a lot of history. So, I really, like I said, I'm pretty indifferent.
Yeah. In regard to the battle pass and the cosmetics, just briefly, I think one of the coolest things they could do is like, sure, have an abundance of like wacky and interesting cosmetics you could certainly purchase through the battle pass or acquire through the battle pass. But it'd be cool if the best, most interesting, like statement giving armor in the game is unlocked sort of through the campaign or multiplayer, like actually playing. I think the coolest thing if like across this giant open world are all these objectives to unlock particular sets of armor, like maybe a like really legendary piece or something, or like a legendary weapon skin, like that's tied to like gives players a reason, like if they're playing free to play multiplayer, to actually want to play the campaign as well, and that's how they can get them in on the battle pass or actually purchasing the game outrightly. Yeah. If I were a developer or a game director, I feel like in my head that makes the most sense. And like you said, you get the best of both worlds. Players who don't feel like grinding for that unique gear that's like a statement, like I earned this, like this is what I am now, like versus like I just paid for like my neon pink skin, like you said. Can be the best of both worlds. So there's certainly tremendous potential there.
Yeah. And here's another thing to keep in mind. If the multiplayer it's going to be free to play, right? Like how big does the campaign need to be? How expansive does the open world need to be with stuff to do to justify a $60 price point for the game? Like, is there going to be like a zombie mode, for example? Like, what are they going to do to justify the price? What?
I just want to know who's spending $60 on Xbox games anymore.
That's a good point. I keep forgetting about Game Pass. But surely there's going to be people that buy, the game.
The Christmas kiddies, bro. When their moms go get it at GameStop and stuff. Oh, GameStop's extinct. When their moms go get it at Amazon,
Walmart.
Walmart. It's I don't know. I really, because there's also been rumors that like this might be the last Halo game, which I highly doubt. I doubt that so much because Microsoft wants to make money, obviously, right? So they're not going to stop their biggest selling IP from moving forward. But it's possible that in that they may have been referencing to Infinite as they're
going to add to it.
Like a live service type game. So with some of that monetization they're getting from the multiplayer, they'll funnel that back into development in the single player. So, hey, I don't know. It'd be cool if it kind of worked into like the lore of the Ring. Maybe the Ring you're on has like this weird out of whack, like bioorganic construction thing. Because when you look at the world, you can see that these weird like octagonal columns or stuff that the world's built out of.
Because they can like shift and mount, like
so maybe
terraform and stuff.
Maybe like, oh no, the thing's out of control again. Now there's this whole new island over here with new objectives to go explore, and then that would be like a patch that they drop. That's like, oh hey, maybe not tie story to that, obviously, but like when you finish the story, leave it open ended in a way where you can go back, and then they'll add more to the multiplayer to make it more worth that $60 tag as time goes on.
Yeah,
definitely.
But I wonder if they're going for something like a Destiny like public space, or is that what they're called? Like like you go to the planets and they have those big maps. Like, are they going to go for something like that? Maybe
seeing 35 Master Chiefs running around.
Like everyone's got their personalized avatar that goes into the space.
I don't know how that would fit into the lore, but like. What if they made something like that? Like they did a co-op and they made it canon at the end. Like Chief finds like this underground container full of Spartans. I don't know how the hell you would make it work in lore. Yeah. And then boom, it's co-op and you can run around the world with your friends now and take on groups or challenges together. Again, none of this sounds like Halo or the Halo that I know to be. But again, I'm down to see some type of innovation in the franchise. But it just sounds like Destiny at that point. I don't know. It really.
They already got the Cabal in the trailer, So might as well just go all the way.
Going to Mars, boys. Oh my
goodness. I think you nailed it too, Kyle. The social aspect of Halo is what I miss most. I will forever cherish. I had a lot of great times in Halo 1 and 2, but 3 were like the glory days of Halo for me with all my friends, and even like just the Halo community in general is the most fun I've had with Halo. And that's like my biggest hope for Infinite is that 4 and 5 did not reach that point. I mean, I had fun with aspects of 4's multiplayer, and Preston and I, like we said, got into 5 for a while. But I think what 343 should strive for beyond anything else is having that like firm, gigantic, engaging, fun Halo community return in full force again. And I think, like we've kind of talked about, I think free to play may be like the best case Halo has for reaching that point. And Game Pass, like whether you're playing the campaign on Game Pass, but with the multiplayer not only being free to play, but on every single Xbox console, beginning with Xbox One, like there's remarkable potential for that to like resurge again.
Yeah, all like 4 people that own Xboxes will be
exactly
on for the free to play.
Time to dust off the old footstool. Speaking of the footstool, the brand new Series X footstool is confirmed to run at 120 FPS for Halo multiplayer on Series X. So that's cool for console players as well.
Cool. That's it's again, it's something that you really got to play it to feel it, but like higher hertz gameplay at like 120 FPS, there's really a difference there. Like you feel a lot more in control of the game, and having the only problem with that is like, are there TVs that run at that refresh rate? Like I feel like you'd have to plug there are? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just making sure, because like what else would you need that for in a TV outside of playing games on it?
Dude, sports, bro.
Would that really affect? Oh, okay. I don't know.
If sports even stream at 120, they'd probably go high 60.
A lot of sports still don't even stream in 1080p yet.
But
documentaries, nature documentaries.
That's nice. That's something I've always wanted from consoles, was more of a focus on like performance instead of graphical fidelity. And seeing Halo take a step that way, and with these newer generation consoles, hopefully we'll see more of that. I would love at one point to have a console, although now it's 30 to 60 is no longer going to be a problem. Hopefully. I really hope it's no longer going to be a problem. I think 30 FPS is a sin against mankind. This stuff
it's
is
time
disgusting.
to move past that. I mean, if I had to find a compromise, if they're like, okay, you can either have extremely high res 1080p or potentially 2K at 60 FPS, or you can have 4K 60 always with like mediocre textures, I'd take 1080
like
high res.
They have it on
with higher frame rate all day.
Because one thing I like about PC is like how much customization you have in the graphics. So all they have to do, they don't have to make it complicated, because consoles players, they don't want that. They want plug and play, right? So you start up the game, have a slider like low, medium, high. These are your graphical settings. Have a little thing underneath. These are your graphical settings. This may affect performance. And then if you want to play the game at like a minimum and get the best performance out of it, you can. That's all I want out of consoles. They don't got to make it complicated, because people don't like that. I don't want to have someone like, oh God, there's like 30 post-processing effects. I have no idea what any of them do. What's TXA? What's all this? Like, just make it low, medium, high, and then this can affect frame rate. And then that's all I would like. I know that's a lot to ask, especially when there's so much that goes into making a video game in the first place. But if it's like just a thought in the back of the developers' heads throughout the process, then by the end of it, they have it. That's great. And it helps everyone. The people that want to play console and not suffer lower performance, then they can. That's all I want out of consoles. That's why I like the performance mode on PlayStation or PS4 Pro or whatever it was. I think it's a cool idea.
I guess you just have to ask yourself, like, is that worth it at the end of the day? Like, do console players care enough to have that customization, or would they just rather have a PC?
And that's what sucks. You suck.
I think Mini would not even know the difference too. No, I wouldn't. I don't think Mini's fair, but I like a couple console, like Xbox guys in particular, I know, I don't think would even realize there's a difference between 30 and 60 FPS.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, unless they're like shown like this is 60, this is 30, like you clearly see a difference there. But like the average person just turning on a game is not going to know like the difference between like Call of Duty or like Last of Us, or where there's, definitely a clear difference in frame rate, but not seeing them, back
side
to back.
by side. Yeah,
exactly. It's probably, they don't care.
It's 100% one of those things where like when you obtain the forbidden knowledge and you go back, it's in retrospect, then you're like, oh crap. But if you've always played it,
I used to think, like, when I first built my PC, I just got like a 60 hertz monitor. I was like, man, dude, this is flying. And I went to my uncle's house where he had just built a PC and had a 120 hertz monitor, and I was like, man, I can't tell a difference at all. But once I eventually got 120 hertz 60, felt like I was like walking through sludge and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy the differences. And again, it's like one of those things. If you don't know it and you're not aware of it, you're not gonna know about, or you're not gonna feel it, or you're not gonna be able to kind of sympathize with it. I don't know the right word for that, but
I remember late last year.
I don't think it's like the worst sin against mankind. Like
30 is. 30 is.
It's, I mean, when I first got into PC gaming is when God of War came out.
Yeah.
And I will say going back and forth between PC and God of War, like it literally gave me a headache. Like I would have to play God of War for like 10 or 15 minutes before it started to feel normal again. But, once you kind of get over that hump, it feels fine. Like, I mean, I've been playing, The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima until I, unlock the frame rate, and those are 30 and it's fine. Like I don't think about it, after a little
you have
bit
to
of
just once you readjust, it's not that bad. It's just hopping between, like, I first noticed it when Battlefront 2 or Battlefront came out on PlayStation, and that, I don't know how they managed that, but DICE got that running at 60 on the consoles. So I would like start a Battlefront, play that for a bit, and then go to something else that was 30, and I'm like, it was like my first time, again, the forbidden knowledge, and I'm like, what is that? Why do I feel different? What's going on? And then I like looked into it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a difference. It's crazy, and it feels so much better, especially 120 and a competitive experience. You feel like you're in so much more control that you are typically. Like you just feel like you have more control over your character. But yeah, man, I can't wait. Halo's gonna be dope.
Yeah, I'm hoping they release just at the very least, if not a demo, like a really killer in-depth multiplayer explanation and like showcase to get people really fired up shortly before release, especially because it's free to play. Like everyone's going to probably pick it up.
If it's free to play, like I think they should do some sort of like early access type of thing.
Well, that'd be cool. If you pre-order the campaign, you get access to the multiplayer early or something like that.
Or if you sign up for Game Pass. Get access.
Dude, if
early.
Microsoft wants to push Game Pass, team up with 343, be like, hey, we want to push Game Pass. We want to get your hands into many people's hands as possible. Say if you sign up for Game Pass, you get instant access to infinite multiplayer prior to launch or something.
Yeah.
Or like beta access or something.
Yeah, I think they're doing that with Grounded right now. If you have Game Pass, you're able
That's
to play
a game
like the
I've
early
played.
access.
Grounded's dope, guys. If you've not played
I've heard very good things
really
about
good. I got Game Pass for it with my friends, and it's a very fun, basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids survival game, and it's really good. We've had a lot of fun playing it. There's not a lot content-wise currently. Like, we probably beat this story in like 2 hours of play, and they're like, all right, you're done with the story content, go have fun. And I'm like, what? And so we originally, where they hunted with the spiders, they would clap cheeks, and that was not fun. Like, you'd be chilling, walking around at night or outside of your house, and you'd have a spider barrel through your little grass plank house and kill everyone in sight, eat the children, and run away. And then, but eventually we started getting better gear, and now we see a spider and we go take his lunch money, bro. We go beat him up and get the supplies. But it's been really fun, and it's a blast with if you could get 3 other people and you just pick up the Game Pass and you have access to it. And outside of that, I think it's like $30, which I don't think is a good deal currently because there's not a lot of content. But maybe as they start to add stuff, they've talked about being able to mount insects and ride insects into battle. Like, imagine putting a saddle on a ladybug and riding him into combat, bro. I just can't wait to see what they do with the game. Or adding like, oh no, we were even talking like some crazy stuff. It's like, oh, dad's mowing the lawn, so like you guys gotta hide because he's rowing through and taking out whole chunks of the map. Or they're having a barbecue out back and you got footsteps or something. Or there's a frog in the pond and that's the raid boss or something like that. Like, there's so many things they can do with the game. It'd be really cool to see how they develop it. I had no idea that Obsidian was making it because I didn't see the trailer until my friend told me. I'm like, I never would have expected Obsidian to make something like this. It's probably like their B team or something, but
yeah.
It's really fun if you can get 3 other dudes to go in with you. And
dude, we got 4 dudes here.
Oh man. But for those that don't know and have played other survival games before, like Ark, real quick, so I won't be on it too long, but like Ark or Conan or stuff like that, you can it's all connected to a host. So you'll have a main character host.
Where's the controller?
What do you mean the controller?
The PlayStation controller.
It's in the room.
We're being derailed here.
It's in my room?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Controllers are sacred. Anyway, as you were saying about Ark.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine, man.
She's trying to play Tsushima.
No, I don't blame her.
But like those games, they have like it's like server based, but this is all connected to a host. So all your progress is tied to a host. If someone unlocks something, everyone gets it. So it's very much more of a survive experience, not having to worry about griefing or people like coming in blowing up your house. Like in Ark, you could be chilling, someone ride in on a dinosaur and kill your whole everyone and just run away, and it would happen like 3 to 4 times a night just because everyone that plays Ark's an asshole apparently. But like those survival games usually have like a negative connotation with that kind of stuff, but this is nothing like that. It's very much like more like Minecraft, where you hop in, have fun, and everything's connected to the host. So whoever's on the most, make them host, and you guys play, and everything will be tied to their account's progression. But it's very much laid back survival until like you realize there's spiders in the game. And they do have a really cool mode if you have like arachnophobia and you can't deal with big spiders and you're terrified of them. You can turn them into like little slime monsters that attack you instead, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But it's a great
I think I got over my fear of spiders thanks to Hunt Showdown, but
yeah, the
that's
hard
nice they
way,
have that option.
the traumatizing way. But yeah,
Those things scare the crap out of me,
they're
man.
disgusting.
That sounds fun. I really want to try Fall Guys too. I've seen a lot from Fall Guys recently.
That looks dope too. I've watched like streamers play it, but I haven't gotten into it yet. But my friends have been talking about like getting everyone together, doing like a drunk night, and just like
that game looks
ham.
prime for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good too.
Such a good move to getting it on PS Plus.
Oh, you get it for
Is it
free,
on
don't
PS
you?
Plus?
Yeah, it's on the next PS Plus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like the game is going to freaking blow up.
Yeah,
with
well.
that many people having access to it.
So that's this month then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It's Modern Warfare Remastered and Fall Guys.
Oh,
Nice.
that's a good month.
Good
That
month.
is.
Yeah.
Sweet. Where are we at? Ubisoft creative officer canceled ex-Dragon Age director's King Arthur game. I hadn't heard anything about this.
I mean, you
Yeah, I just found this article. It looked interesting to me.
Okay. Well, Ubisoft apparently, this comes from Jordan Alleman, by the way, of IGN, says Ubisoft was working on a King Arthur fantasy RPG directed by former Dragon Age creative director Mike Laidlaw, but was ultimately canceled by Ubisoft's former chief creative officer, Serge Hascote? Probably definitely. Sergey?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Sergey?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Sergey, excuse me. It was a big budget adventure involving stories of King Arthur and his round table in a sword and sorcery fantasy world full of knights and legends.
I think it was supposed to be kind of like Monster Hunter too.
Yeah, that's
Go
what they
out,
were
just like,
comparing it to.
Fight dragons.
Yeah,
and
that's what it
stuff.
says in here.
So
In an effort to save the project, the setting was reshaped into a science fiction and Greek mythology, but Sergey was still unwilling to approve it, and it was canceled in 2019, with Laidlaw leaving the company shortly thereafter. And Sergey has had sexual misconduct and toxic culture allegations at the company, so he's playing a central role in the company's culture problems in a report from French newspaper Liberation. I mean, on paper, that sounds pretty cool.
yeah, he was like, "There's no towers to climb.
Yeah, this is out.
Can't do this."
So,
Yeah, I
interesting.
guess I just wanted to bring it up because, he was let go, or I guess he quit, or whatever, however they phrased it, because of like all the sexual misconduct and the toxic culture. And then, apparently he canceled a lot of projects that may have been cool. We'll never know, but this
Was
is
he
just
the
one
same
of them.
guy
And-
that was pushing the whole like women can't sell
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
type of thing as well?
Exactly. Yeah. And I just feel like he had a really strict like idea of what a game needed to be successful. And
Good
Yeah.
riddance.
yeah, this is just one that could have been. So
That's
I mean,
great.
I think it sounds cool, like a King Arthur game with that played like Monster Hunter. Like that sounds kind of cool to me. Like that I'm
Definitely sounds
huge
good.
into fantasy settings.
Or
So
even like when they reshaped it into like Greek mythology, that'd be
Yeah.
dope. Like go hunt down
Mhm.
Medusa and then like I don't know, get her head and you can make a chest plate out of it or something. I don't know. That'd be dope. Like a
got
like
a chest plate with Medusa's head on it.
that'd be really cool. Like a snake themed, like fully metal, like heavy armor set. That'd be dope. I'd play the shit out of that.
Yeah.
We may never know, but
Hey,
cool
we
ideas
get
at
Watch
least.
Dogs Legion instead.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
Play as a grandma.
Yeah,
I can't wait for
Granny
the
construction worker.
I can't wait for the grandma speed runs when that game comes out. It's like
Absolutely.
grandma only,
Great.
no glitch speed run. gonna get to
Just
the
a
end.
whole squad of grandmas.
Can we do that? That'd be a good
Granny
selling
squad.
point. Can I recruit 50 grandmas and have to take on a military infrastructure? I'd be
The
down for
grandmas
that.
take
It's
back
bound to
London.
happen.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about the game. The creativity we're bound to see from people who are playing it is going to be seemingly pretty expansive. So I'm excited. Jacob, I want you to take the Immortal trailer bit. I did watch Preston and I watched the trailer before the podcast, but
Okay.
it's funny because I misread the title at the beginning. I thought it said new Diablo 4 trailer. I was
No.
like, wow, this is surprising.
Yeah.
So they start playing Immortal, and I'm watching it, and I was like, you know what's funny about Diablo? And me thinking this is Diablo 4 the whole time. I'm like, because it didn't look anything like what we had seen previously for Diablo 4. I was like, you know what's funny about Diablo now, dude? There's been so many Diablo clones that I can't tell the difference between a clone and Diablo anymore.
No.
And by the end of the trailer, I was like, oh, wait, it is Immortal. So I was like, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
it actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I know Diablo Immortal is a huge meme and everyone makes fun of it, but you know, from this trailer that we saw, I mean, I think it looks a little promising, and seeing all that on a phone could potentially be kind of fun. But they showed this new trailer at China Joy 2020, and apparently Blizzard always does little things for these conferences in China, and they're actually having, like, I don't know if it was a in-person thing or if it was more of a online thing with COVID still being a thing. I know numbers have gone down everywhere else in the world except here in the US. But so I don't know if they actually had a conference or not. But the apparently from the video, people noticed that there were updated character models, improved gameplay UI, and there's a special appearance from Baal, which is from Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction. So I just wanted to bring it up this slow news week. And I think it looks kind of promising. I could see myself sort of playing some Diablo on my phone if I'm out, getting my oil changed at, the shop. Just something
You are
random
definitely
like that.
one to play mobile games. You can't deny it. I think every time I've ever been around you have some mobile game you've been
I
playing.
don't know about
so-
that, Garrett. I don't think I've seriously played a mobile game since that Star Wars game that I used
I was
to
going
play.
to say the Galaxy. Is it called like
Galaxy
Galaxy,
of
of
Heroes.
Heroes?
I got
Yeah,
an
we played-
ad for that
played
on
for
YouTube
so
the other
long.
day, and I was like, God, this gameplay sucks. Why was I
Have you-
playing this garbage?
I don't know if you guys I've been getting a lot of them, probably because of what I watch on YouTube. I have no clue, but I'll get like really crappy mobile game ads, like absolutely garbage mobile. Like I don't even know why they would pay for this level mobile game ads. And I got one for the Star Wars game too. It was like
They love to give me Raid Shadow Legends ads. They love it.
that game. Wow, I wonder how. I want to know. I wonder if they'll ever come out. How much money they spent on marketing
It's-
for that and
They've got to have spent millions.
sponsoring people. Like that's crazy. Everyone was talking about Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah. It's like the biggest scam I've ever seen. Like they throw out all these like gamer words into their ads, and then the game is just like, it looks so bare bone and just boring
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
Maybe people really enjoy it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I assume there's a community there.
Yeah, I'm not against having like pseudo decent experiences on mobile, mostly because but they have to be kind of built for it, right? Like I don't know, I can't really see myself. I feel like you'd have to have a decent amount of downtime to sit down and play through a level in Diablo or something. Like it's not something like, oh, I'm pumping gas, let me pop open Diablo Immortal. Like you're not gonna really be able to do much in that time frame. So it'd be interesting to see, because if it plays just like Diablo and it's just on the phone, then I might have difficulty actually getting into it because I don't know when I would ever play it. But
Sure.
maybe if I don't know how you would adjust it to make it for like quicker time or quicker playthroughs or something. I have no idea, but it'd be interesting.
And you got to imagine maybe they're showing it at this China Joy 2020 because they think that's where the game's going to sort of find more success. So
I thought, wasn't China Joy for like things made, like coming from China, like game wise?
so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there is a Chinese team making this game.
No, yeah, 100%. That's the market they're shooting for, because that's huge over there. Like the Honkai game that I was talking about earlier, that is also MiHoYo, the team that makes it, is they're stationed in Shanghai or something, and that's where all of their money comes from. They just don't. I don't know if it's the work market or like how they do their things, but they just don't have time. Or a lot of the times they just won't even have the infrastructure in their houses. Like like even in Japan, like sometimes you'll go home, you'll have like a TV and that's it. And you go to sleep and then you wake up the next day and go back to work. So they just won't have that infrastructure for internet or
Internet cafes are really huge over there.
Yeah, the same reason. So that's why mobile stuff is so big over there because they can do it on the commute to work, or they can do it at home where they wouldn't really have like hardware chilling like a PC or it definitely exists. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not the standard because they've. One thing that was interesting was I was watching a vid doc talking about how some companies. It was mostly the 14 devs. Like they were talking like because when COVID started. When you work, the work ethic over there is like you keep all your work at work. If you have a project that you're doing, you'll be at work until midnight and then you go home. You'll stay late and that's all you do. You don't bring your work home with you. So they were talking like to set up the infrastructure for these people to work for home was so incredibly difficult because it's just not a country where they do that. It's not in their society. It's not something they do. We're in the US, it's so easy to set up. Everyone has the stuff. There's wide access to internet. Everyone has systems at home. But for them to transition to remote working and doing all that, it took months to get everyone set up and even like setting up for like social distancing in the office and stuff. So it's been so incredibly interesting to watch how these devs have responded to the situation that everyone's having to deal with. I don't know how the heck I got there. I'm sorry, but I just thought that was interesting.
And of course, like all the backlash came from, the US BlizzCon where it was just a huge mess. So
it's just an out of season April Fool's joke.
Everyone has phones, right? You got a phone.
We do have
Just
phones.
play the game.
I'm going to definitely try Immortal when it comes out.
I got a phone.
Just out of curiosity, because I mean, I've only played Diablo 3, but I love Diablo 3, so I'll at the very least give it a try.
Yeah, it looks the most like Diablo 3 for sure.
Definitely. That's why I was so confused watching. I'm like, this doesn't look anything like what what happened. So yeah, it's still very excited.
I'm with you. I want to play 4 so bad. I think it looks like I love like the art style that they're going for and the more
same.
dark
I love
take.
how it's like much darker and everything. It looks cool.
And I've actually been considering playing Diablo 3 again. Like anytime that I'm gonna like have some downtime here this fall, like before a big game comes out, I might jump back into D3. I just want to know what that feels like again. It's been a long time.
Get back in your blood, the drug.
Yeah.
Feel that?
It is one hell of a drug. Splinter Cell has an animated series coming to Netflix, which is, I guess, kind of good news for Splinter Cell fans.
It means that they're thinking about it still.
It's still on the mind.
Someone thought about Splinter Cell this week. I like that.
And the works from the John Wick creator, or at least a John Wick creator. This comes from Jim Vejvoda from IGN. It says Ubisoft and Netflix are partnering for an animated series adapting the Splinter Cell video game franchise. This is probably what Yves Guillemot said when he's like, Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about Splinter Cell. So he's showing up in Elite Squad in the animated series.
This is what you wanted, right?
Yeah, it says Derek Kolstad, the writer behind John Wick movies, will write and executive produce the series. According to Variety, Splinter Cell has received a 2-season, 16-episode order from Netflix. Splinter Cell was long in development as a feature film set to star Tom Hardy, but the trade says the project is currently considered inactive. The stealth game franchise, which has spawned 7 games as well as novels, follows Black Ops agent Sam Fisher. It has been voiced by both Michael Ironside and Eric Johnson of the games. Dude, I hope Ironside is in the show.
Man, the sad thing about that is that Ironside is an old man.
Yeah.
The longer we prolong this game, the chances become slimmer and slimmer that he can actually voice act in it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's that old, though. He could still probably do
Dude,
it.
Ironside's pretty freaking old.
Is
At least
he?
he looks pretty freaking old.
That is Sam Fisher, certainly.
Yeah, I heard recently that Chuck Norris was in his how old is Chuck Norris? He's like in his 70s, right? He's an old man too.
I don't know.
I think so.
We're gonna get to a point where we're gonna start seeing a lot of people kick the bucket. It's gonna be
He's
really
70,
sad.
dude. Yeah.
70.
Who is?
Goodness
Michael
gracious.
Ironside.
Wait, you think Chuck
70.
Norris is gonna die?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
Chuck
he'll
Norris
be
is
reborn,
immortal, dude.
but he has to die first. He'll be reborn. Don't worry about it.
My problem with Ironside too is that they need to redesign Sam to actually look like that's his voice, because Splinter Cell Conviction, Ironside's voice coming out of that character model just doesn't look right. So I completely understand why in Blacklist they went in another direction.
Like he's a
because
younger
it just
version or something.
doesn't look right. So
Yeah.
they need to make that work. But
I get that completely. We'll see. Coming at some point.
they're
It's in
doing a
development.
Beyond Good and Evil show or movie too. So
Yeah, I saw that.
that kind of made me feel less excited about this, because it seems like Ubisoft's just throwing everything at the wall to make it into a TV show or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I really hope that Italian voice actor who claims he's been working on the new Splinter Cell is actually like he knows what he's talking about.
Dude, all these people claiming these games are coming and like they never show up from Ubisoft. Prince of Persia, Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
They're playing with your emotions, man.
I have more faith in Prince of Persia coming back than Splinter Cell.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that does it for news, gents. Let's jump into Ask IOG. Ask IOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our socials at ItsObviousGaming, the Ask IOG section of our Discord channel, or emailed to us at itsobviousgaming@gmail.com. And if you want your question read live on the show, always include the hashtag AskIOG. First one comes from Big Colt. It says, what's your minimum price for getting this tattooed on your chest or legs? Referenced image on Discord. I'll describe it in a second. It says, if you get it on your face, you can set a price plus pick a superpower. Obviously, it would have to be your own birth month and have male adjectives. You can't ever have it removed either, and you can't cover it up with makeup or something at the beach or on a date or something. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick.
Oh my god.
I'll say I would get it on my thigh for $1 million right now.
So you would hide it, but you would get it.
Yeah, I'd put it in a strategic location, but yeah, for sure, I'll get it.
Would you get it for $1 million if it was on your chest or your back?
I still stand by. I'll get an IOG tattoo for 1 million subscribers.
If we get if I put it on my face, can I get a superpower like a chameleon where I can morph my face and hide it? Is
that's
that
fair.
allowed?
That's good. I would also use the $1 million, I would get from the tattoo to remove said tattoo.
No, he says you can't do
you
that.
can't cover it up.
No.
Press
Oh,
it.
man.
That's cheating.
Yep.
Well, does that count for like superpowers as well?
Probably.
The camouflage superpower
Probably.
seems like that's
Yeah, he says you
cheating.
can't remove it. Like it has to stay. So on your chest though, that's not that bad. Like, so you can still go to the beach with a shirt on. Like it kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
you can cover it up still.
Can you imagine?
Garrett, do you
like-
want to read what the tattoo is?
Yeah. So the tattoo says, and these are classic too. This girl has fought 1,000 battles and is still standing. Has cried 1,000 tears and is still standing. Has been broken, betrayed, abandoned, rejected, but she still walks. Proud, laughs loud, lives without fear, loves without doubt. This girl is beautiful. This girl is humble. This girl was born in June. But obviously male adjectives with our birth month. So
I would get it on my thigh.
that's a pretty sick thigh tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would get it.
Get a good laugh.
He said for any price. I mean, why would you not? Why would you stop at any price? Like,
Oh, I guess.
I want the wealth of every billionaire on the planet combined.
Give me
But,
infinite money.
like logically speaking, if there's no price point, like no cap, like I'd ask for that. But realistically, like within a reasonable, like if this is a real thing, like I get a superpower and like a reasonable price point, I'd do it for $1 million. No, I'd do it for 5 million. My superpower would naturally be teleportation.
That had to be on your face if you want the
Oh,
superpower.
get the superpower. Okay, in that case, I just do it for 5 million. Thigh. Go
So
for
no
it.
superpower.
It's still a hilarious joke.
I would bargain for at least $1 million, but if he was like, man, I could do 500K right now, I'd probably shake his hand.
Yeah,
In
sure.
cash,
Yeah,
500K
yeah.
in cash. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
that would make my life a lot better.
I would take the 500K and then put like a cool dragon around it or something.
Yeah, just spruce it up, man.
Because it's cool. I'd make it even cooler with like a dragon or something.
And just be proud. Wear it unironically too. Be like, this is my soul you're reading.
I mean, it'd be the last point of a talk if you put it on your face and you have a superpower. Like if you show up to the party flying in, they're not going to care about the
Like,
tattoo.
whoa, dude. Like, that flying crap is cool, but like what's with your face?
Yeah, what's with the face, man?
I don't care. And then you fly
We don't like
away.
that around here.
Yeah, no.
I really want to get a live, laugh, love tattoo. I think that would really speak to me. I'd put it on my arm so everyone could see it.
Nice,
Or
man.
get it like right up here on my forehead. Live,
Oh,
laugh,
dude.
love.
And then put tears underneath it for how many people you've killed. I like it. If I were to ever to get a tattoo, I'd go full ham and get like a full sleeve on one of my arms. Like something.
What would
really cool.
the inspiration behind your sleeve be?
I have
Waifus?
no idea. Waifus. I'd have to sit down. It wouldn't be something like
Gotta
that.
get that.
I'd like. I don't know. I always like the idea of like. I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know if it would be colored or not. I've never really thought about it. I just thought if I ever were to, it'd be full on sleeve. But it's a beautiful tattoo.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take over for now. Garrett's got to take his mud out the body.
Oh no.
Next is Andreas Green from Facebook. Hope you guys are well. If you could work at a games company, which one would it be, and what position would you choose? For example, a programmer, artist, or marketer. Sorry if you answered this before. Thank you. I do not believe we have, Andreas. I have no clue what I would do because I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
What if you could? Like, you could draw and you could be an artist for a game.
I mean, if I could do anything, maybe like marketer would be cool. Like kind of plan the events and stuff. I think I'd like to do that.
Yeah, and you would know everything in advance for that company. Like you would know every game coming out before it went public and everything. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. That's what I would do too. I would do marketing.
I've
always been fascinated by it.
I would love to be an artist, like for like doing environmental design or like character design. Like imagine like being an artist on Overwatch, doing all the original character designs, and that comes out and everyone adores those characters. How cool that must feel. I would love to do something like that. Maybe not for Blizzard. I want to work for Blizzard. Maybe like I would like to work. Maybe I don't know. Who would I want to work for? What the heck?
Final
I think.
Fantasy.
Oh, they did ask that too.
Yeah. It's what company you want to work for, and what position you'd want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be an artist. It'd be kind of cool to be an artist for the 14 team, but I don't know. I'd be an artist for some company. I'm thinking maybe Platinum would be cool, like helping them work on like the next Bayo game, and I love the look of the Beautiful Joe series and stuff. So if they're like, "Hey, we're making another one,
Beautiful Joe, man,
we're making another one. We want you to do the art for it," I'd be like,
where has that been?
"Fuck yes, that'd be cool." Oh, I'm sorry. That was my first
No,
F
you're
word.
good.
It's a PG-13 show. That was the first F word. That's all I'm allowed.
One is allowed on PG-13.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what studio. It'd have to be a franchise I'm like really passionate about. So probably Halo, like a 343, or I would love to join Crytek and like really
That'd be cool.
do some interesting stuff with Hunt Showdown naturally. But
What position do you think
what
you
position?
would do best in, Garrett?
yeah, probably. I've always been an idea guy. I've said the opposite before, but in certain scenarios, like I'm very much an idea guy. When it comes to Hunt Showdown, I feel like I have some pretty cool ideas. And in the past, I've had some pretty cool Halo ideas, but
Yeah. So maybe like a game director or something.
yeah, hopefully either director or like, probably director at that point. Because there's so many ideas I'd love to see Crytek explore with Hunt Showdown that I think are pretty good ideas, but
Yeah,
I wonder
probably where I'd
where
go.
most like game directors like sort of come from. Like I wonder if most of them are designers, are they artists? Like I'm sure it's
like
just random, but
Where they start. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I wonder if there's like a statistic that shows where most start from.
yeah, I feel bad for, I shouldn't say I feel bad because they all have jobs and I'm sure many of them enjoy their jobs, but I would hate working for an annual series like FIFA or Madden and just doing that over and over and over. You just like live and breathe those games with minimal iterations each year. Like
What's the one new feature this year?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather commit to either an ongoing multiplayer experience or like a live service multiplayer game where
Fortnite,
you're just
dude.
something like that. Like iterate upon that, or just work on a game that has a new title like every 3 to 5 years, and like pour your heart and soul into those new titles. Especially if it's an ongoing series, I'm sure it'd be cool. But especially studios that tackle new projects, like I think ideally Sony first party studios, like whether you're Insomniac or Naughty Dog, like their projects are always switching up for the most part. So you're getting that variety every 5 years of your life at the very least. So
Yeah, that's dope.
that's probably my answer. Did we all answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Ross Coker writes in and says, thoughts on 2020 Game of the Year so far, Ghost or Last of Us 2?
Are those our only options?
Yeah, if I had to choose between the two of them,
Just a game of the year for 2020.
yeah, if those are the only options, I'd probably choose Last of Us 2 for now. But it's going to be, like you said, Kyle, it's going to be an interesting discussion because there's
definitely.
a lot. Not only have there been many good games that have come out this year, but there's still a few that are yet to be here.
I think like the sleeper that's going to surprise people is Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can see winning
think
like
You're
family.
laughing at me. That
I'm
game
like that makes
has
sense.
sold
It's
a
huge.
trillion copies.
Like
It's
family
I know you're
games or something
serious.
like that.
So
Yeah.
especially with the times and stuff. Just like that game, like gave me sanity for like months. I swear.
Many people.
I think you're right though. We'll at least see one or two outlets, pick that as a game of the year for sure. And it'll be a contender, 100%.
Yeah.
I think
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but either like Final Fantasy VII remake or I think,
that's on my list for sure.
Ghost of
Doom
Tsushima is
Eternal's
probably
on my
mine
list.
so far.
Yeah.
But I think Cyberpunk is definitely
Will that
looking
make
pretty promising.
Will that make the thing? It comes out in November. Will that make the
I don't know.
the time frame? I don't know if it does. If it does, that's definitely mine. But between I am in the camp where I was not a fan of Last of Us 2. So between the two that we've gotten, it would be Ghost for me.
And Ghost is fantastic too.
Yeah. If outside of that, I wouldn't even know. I don't care about the Game Awards anymore because they gave ongoing Game of the Year to Fortnite instead of Final Fantasy 14. So
They redeemed themselves for me
Unforgivable.
last year with Sekiro Game of the Year. I was so freaking pumped that
was
won.
That was in the same year that they screwed over 14 though. So I appreciated Game of the Year going to second row. But man, like when they said Fortnite, bro, my heart sunk. That destroyed me as a person.
Are you surprised though?
I mean, it won already. Like, why would I don't know? And that was it did technically because that was literally in the same year that Fortnite introduced like 3 big changes to their game that pissed off literally every member of their community, which was the mechs one season, which literally had everyone screaming like take it out, and they did it for months. So how is that indicative of like support for a community? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, this is the same year that you guys introduced all this dumb stuff that you didn't listen to the community about, and you guys are getting the Game of the Year. And then they come out and show off their Star Wars thing, and I'm like, I see what's going on here. I see what's going on here. Okay.
Another thing you have to consider is who's voting for these awards.
Well,
and it's usually mostly analysts, right, or people that work at sites.
The thing that
I know there's a panel of like 100 something people that are chosen from like outlets and stuff.
The thing that broke my heart was like right before it, they had like a Twitter vote or something like, who do you think is going to win this award?
Yeah.
And it was Final Fantasy 14. So I thought it was a shoo-in, and then they lost.
That was the year that the expansion came out too, right?
Yeah, that was the reason it was on the list, and that was the only time I've ever seen an MMO up there outside of like MMO Lights, which was like Destiny 2. But yeah, it was a rough night. I didn't sleep that night, but but I definitely go with Ghosts. If Cyberpunk fits into that bracket, I think it's definitely going to be Cyberpunk. I just love that setting and that type of sci-fi so much that that game could be garbage and I would still love it to death. It won't be because we know it is CG Project, but I think if it does fit in, it'll definitely be Cyberpunk. But between those two, I got to pick Ghosts.
Yeah, between those two, non-surprisingly, I got to definitely pick The Last of Us. But
Stoked for that discussion at the end of the year.
Yeah,
and,
so
how and like I think about the Game Awards, of course, like the industry Game Awards, but then I think about like our personal Game of the Year, because like Cyberpunk obviously coming out this year and Halo Infinite the tail end too. Like it's a pretty substantial list of games we'll have to talk about, so I'm excited
for sure.
What do we got next? Zach Bynum, Zachy B, official 4th member of ItsObviousGaming, who sparingly makes an appearance, but says, "Why did y'all create this podcast? Do you think it was a good idea or necessary at all for any reason whatsoever? Do you know?" It was certainly incredibly unnecessary and remains to be the case, but because of our thriving and loving community, it lives on, and it is because of you all that it remains. But fair question, Zachy B. I think the better question is, was it ever necessary to have you on to begin with, because you're so unavailable?
True.
And in spite of the fact that everyone who's heard you on the podcast loves you to death, were you necessary? That's what I would. That's my rebuttal. So, you guys have anything to add to that?
No, I echo what you say. That's
great.
I'm sick of his crap. That's what I'm saying.
I love him to bits. I'm going to see him later this week, actually. I'm excited for his birthday. K. Sarah writes in. I think we haven't heard from K. Sarah before, unless they changed their name. Says, "Hey guys, been loving Ghost and what you guys had to say on it. I agree with Garrett on his thoughts on looting in open world games. So my question to you guys would be, what can they do to make this task less cumbersome? What are some other open world tropes they can change?" We kind of talked about last week, I think, some of the stuff they've done really well in their open world. In regards to the looting, only solution I thought of is like maybe when you win, fights or when you liberate camps, it just rewards you with like a set of items you need to craft versus like having to run around and grab everything. And I've gotten used to that loop too. Like I'm just kind of used to it at this point in the game.
Far Cry did that really well, where I believe there's an upgrade that when you stealth kill somebody,
It like gives you everything they had.
them. Yeah, I
Like
think that.
pickpocketing or something.
Yeah.
Just passively.
And I just get, because a lot of the locations of the game, like the interiors of places are all the same. So that's why I get bored of the looting is on one hand, I'm having to like run around every corner to find everything. But secondly, like I've seen the same house over and over and over and over and over again. So if you just like liberate a camp, it's like you've been gifted 100 supplies, 50 linen, 25 iron for liberating this camp. I think that'd be more satisfying. And then you just continue going on your way, exploring this beautiful world. But there are benefits to that. I mean, they've implemented some ways that make the collecting, I wouldn't say more enjoyable, but less tedious. For example, like in Last of Us, as much as I appreciate the real world, realistic aspect of opening a drawer, grabbing everything, I like that you can just tap R2 and you're picking it up. You don't even have to get off your horse for like bushes and bamboo and stuff. You just grab it as you go. So they've certainly streamlined it in a way where it isn't nearly as cumbersome as say Last of Us, but at the end of the day, like I think I could do without that.
I think that needs to become standard. It's like, while I appreciate the animations and stuff, which I think The Last of Us does it better than Red Dead, for instance.
Oh, definitely.
Red Dead, as much as, I absolutely adore Red Dead 2.
Yeah, that was insane.
The animations
tedious.
in terms of like skinning animals, like you said, going through a house and looting a house in Red Dead is like an hour affair.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's
So
very
there needs to
Rockstar though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or like Red Dead. I know that's like the point is that game is supposed to be like, everything takes a
like
while.
borderline full-on cowboy simulator.
It's like whatever, but I think there needs to be, at least after you've seen the animation a few times,
Like skip it.
just turn it off. Just let me like not Sekiro, like Ghost of Tsushima. Let me just walk by everything and push one button.
Yeah.
But-
I don't really have a good, way to make this less cumbersome in terms of like this game itself, like Ghost. But one thing that's really helped me as I've been playing is I don't really go out of my way to get resources. Like if I'm going to a house for a quest, I'll walk into the house, loot the house, and go out, right? Like, and if I see like, there's other houses in the same little village, I'm not gonna like waste my time and go through each one just because it's like the question says, it's cumbersome. It's almost at some point you could argue that it's just unnecessary to get all these resources. Like eventually you're going to just get enough stuff passively through playing the game to unlock everything, I imagine, and just like doing all the side activities too, because some of those give you like rewards. Like I think some of the outposts, they give you just like a bunch of resources for like doing it. So I don't really know if they're like does it need to be less cumbersome? Like is this just like a task in a game that like it's not as fun as other things you do, but it's necessary to some extent? I don't know. I can't really
one thing
answer
I want to
that.
add is it certainly has not hindered my fun with the game. Like I wouldn't even say I hate it. I'm just kind of like, I wish it was a little different, but like I'm still having a blast playing it. Like it doesn't ruin it for me at all.
And it's not like the point of the game. Like you don't have to you don't have like a quest to go, hey, go loot 500 animal pelts. Like at that point, it becomes a little tedious.
I think the only way to really make it less cumbersome would be to remove the player input in it, like at all. So like maybe as you complete actions in the worlds, you're just granted, like Preston was saying, or I think Garrett said it too. I think when you guys initially talked about it, but maybe like you complete a camp, you get the supplies in that camp. Maybe like some of the people that follow under Jin, because he does eventually, like you garner some kind of following, so you have people come in and loot it for you, and then it's just added to your balance every time you assassinate someone. Added to your balance, you've discovered something. Added to your balance, reduce the amount that you get per time, obviously, so it's not like you don't get like a crap load of stuff, but just so the player itself doesn't have to loot themselves, but as they do things in the worlds, they're looting like actively. It just happens. And that would make it a little bit less. So you can still have the upgrades. You can still have, I'm grinding for this or working for this, but it's not like, let me go look for a bunch of little packets on the floor and spam R2. Let me just go do some of the stuff I actually find fun in the game. I think that'd probably be the best way to do it.
Developer probably wants to give you they want to reward the players as well that, take the time to explore everything with extra, material. So they might be able to upgrade their sword faster than if somebody were just, kind of doing things like in a straight line, like just doing the missions and stuff. So I don't know, it might just be like a necessary evil at some point.
Yeah, and the motivator is for me like the upgrades. I mean, upgrading your katana fully, your stealth fully, or your stealth blade, all of your throwables, and of course your armor are the motivators for me, especially the armor. Like if I can upgrade all my stuff fully and even have the option to like revert back the appearance after you've upgraded them are huge motivators for me to seek out supplies. So.
And let's not discredit, like, this is such a small thing that, and a lot of the other games do this too, but like the fact that like things that you can pick up highlight and like it actually indicates that it's there. Can you imagine like trying to get all these resources and you just have to like really stare at your screen and like, can I go pick that up? Is that bamboo? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, or when you're in the villages,
it is much
like,
appreciated.
Like there's kunais on the boxes or something. Like imagine trying to see those.
Are there
there are ways that they sort of make it better for the player, of course.
What about the other open world tropes? Like maybe like the fog of war? Just remove that. Like I don't want it. Take it out. Like please. I wish,
I mean, there is that armor set. What is it? The Travelers set. That
I haven't noticed that. That doesn't make a huge difference for me, even all the way upgraded.
I think it's
I've never worn it.
It's not when I don't know if it's necessarily when you're walking, but I've noticed when you take out a camp, the little boom it does to reveal the map is a lot larger than it normally is. So maybe that's what it is. I think I don't know. Like I think I'm not a fan. Like one thing I'm glad they don't have is the thing that Assassin's Creed popularized or Ubisoft popularized is the whole climbing the towers to see more of the map. I hated that with a passion. I don't like that. But I don't like the fog of war in this game. So maybe if they took that out, but I'm trying to think other open world tropes that they can change.
Well, why do you think you don't like it? Is it because it's hiding the map from you? Like, is it just that simple? Like,
I think it's.
Do you want to see all the points of interest?
It feels very video gamey because like this dude's lived on this island his whole life, and like he just all of a sudden doesn't know where anything is now because we need it for that map. I know the world's changed a bit, but like you should understand. It just feels like when Assassin's Creed comes out and you have like they just dogpile on the checklists, like you need to go find 300 feathers, or you don't need to, but if you want, go find 300 feathers. It makes like a completionist job a little bit more mundane, and I think that the fog of war is one of those like checklists that I don't think are really all that necessary. But again,
the fog of war is kind of just pointless in my opinion because it didn't really add anything or take away anything from me really. It's just like
annoyance.
That when when you like talk to people and a side quest comes up, like you see the marker, like you just go to the marker. Like, so I don't really see a point to it, honestly.
I don't know. In my opinion, I guess it's sort of just to like mask the like a sense of discovery. Like you don't know it's there, so you better go there to find out, right?
Yeah.
Not that you couldn't tell that just by looking at the map. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Well, that's one of the things I wish they didn't have, or at least was less of a thing in the game.
Like, I don't mind the question marks being hidden, which is essentially like what I view the fog of war as, because when you reveal the fog of war, then you see the question marks. But, you know, the way that I'm playing it, I'm just doing all the outposts before I really do all of that stuff anyways. So I just playing that way just, you know, makes the fog of war not even anything I even deal with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, every time we talk about this game, I immediately want to go play it. Even if we're like, oh, I don't like this so much. I'm like, but I really want to play it right now.
Please. I'm going to go stand off, clap 3 dudes. Oh, man.
And I like the outpost, too. I mean, whether I'm like full on fighting guys or like mixing stealth and combat, like.
I like that the outposts at least like vary up the objectives where it's not just take out everybody.
Yeah, there's some fun bonus objectives, too.
Oh, yeah. I always got to get those.
Definitely. For sure. So that makes it interesting for sure. And a lot of the terrain in some of these places too are all different. Like, of course, depending on which section of the map you're in, but especially like there's small camps, like meeting camps, and then like the gigantic ones. Yeah. So those are really fun. I like those.
And going back to what this question was asking, like with the resources, I think when you do those objectives, you get more resources. You do. I'm pretty sure. So that's a good way too. That's something that's not mundane or cumbersome.
Definitely. Yeah, Sucker Punch makes super fun games, man. I think I platinumed Second Son as well. I think that was one of my first platinums on PS4, which makes sense because I think even with that game, like back in 2013 or 14, whenever it was, like I had a ton of fun with that too. So I also love the Sly Cooper references in this game. I was still impressed, and when you get the, I'm not going to spoil, but when you get the katana, the way you get the Sly Cooper katana is really cool. So it's a good throwback. But who was that from?
Caseta.
Sarah. Thanks for writing in. Broken Gamer writes in and says, "Good day, awesome blokes. Hope you all are doing well. What do you guys think about Microsoft's Game Pass and their current approach to gaming? I think that the new games being developed will be held back by last-gen consoles. What do you reckon?" We've kind of talked about Game Pass a good bit. I think most people recognize it's almost a deal that's too good to be true. Like, how does Microsoft themselves make any money off of this system? But I'm glad it exists. I hope it remains because it's an amazing deal. And I think it's abundantly clear, especially with Infinite, that it has to be, at the very least, some factor in the visuals and presentation of Infinite as to why it looks the way it does. Because it, on one hand, is I believe what they said. Like, on one hand, it is a new engine. They probably spent a lot of time figuring that out. Secondly, we are in the middle of a pandemic. So this whole year, like the last 8 months now, or coming up on 8 months, they've had to more or less work from home, and I'm sure that presents its own challenges. And I think it's fair to say that it being available on OG Xbox One is another contributor, certainly. So, like we said, there's pros and cons to that. Accessibility for Microsoft's community, or Xbox community, that's phenomenal going forward. I don't think it'll always remain that way going forward. I imagine there will come a point where this game is only available on Series X.
I think they're already kind of sprinkling that in because, certain trailers in the showcase said at the bottom Series X, Windows PC. So I think they're kind of already preparing people for that.
Yeah. And I think it makes the most sense for Halo to be on all, the more I think about it, to be available on every console, because Halo 4 and 5, like, yes, were successful, but they were not as prevalent as the first three Halo, especially Halo 2 and 3. So I think it makes all the sense in the world for Halo to be the one they like really throw out there to the masses initially. So,
and there's
like
a lot more
certain single player
now.
games that are like polished to hell and back, built for Series X, I'm sure will be like total bangers graphically.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I think we answered that. I don't want to move on if you guys have something to add to that.
I freaking love Game Pass. I know I've said that a million times. Like, I haven't used Game Pass in forever, but I still subscribe to it just because I think it's so cool. And I'm on the PC one as well, which I think is only $5 a month.
Yeah, that's
something,
what I'm
which
on.
is freaking insane.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's
how I played.
insane.
I think that's how I played Gears 5.
Yeah.
I didn't even finish Gears 5.
Like, I played the Outer Worlds day one for $5.
Insane.
Like, so stupid.
Yeah.
They also do like the first month free or something, or not free, for $1, so you can get it for $1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
you can
that's
go buy
also,
I see ads on Pop-Tarts for like a free week of Game Pass if you buy this box of Pop-Tarts.
How does it work?
Yeah.
The sorcery.
So crazy.
yeah, it's definitely a lot of value to the service. I don't know how I would feel about seeing like this become more popularized, because like, what if you get to the point where now, as long as it doesn't replace anything, I guess, but if we have a point where every company has their own subscription thing, then we get to the point where it's how like streaming services are, where now I'm deciding, do I want to be subscribed to Ubisoft's thing and Xbox's thing and PlayStation's thing and Bethesda's thing and all this other stuff, and managing, and then you forget for a month, and then $45 are out the window.
That's how these streaming services get you, is they
100%.
want you to. But if you're like adamant about it and pay attention, like that just saves you so much money. Because I mean, Jesus, like that's how I did Jedi Fallen Order. Like, I just subscribed to Origin for 1 month, so I essentially rented Fallen Order for an entire month for $15, which is exactly what I'm going to do with like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like, I'm not exactly sold on that yet, but I could spend $15 for like 3 or 4 months. And I think that's still even less than, or that, that's like $60 right there. And I've had access to that and Watch Dogs Legion coming around the same time, and pretty much every other Ubisoft game for the same price of just buying one game. Granted, I don't know, I know I don't get to keep it, but the chances of me going back and playing Valhalla next year or Legion are like 0 to none.
Low,
but if I ever do, I'll subscribe again and play it.
I think a lot of them too, you can sub and then immediately turn it off, and then you still have access for the rest of that month. So even then, like, they won't get you, because you can just pay the $1, you have that month, and then you just turn off auto renewal or whatever, and they won't charge you again. And then whenever you get back to that point, $5, let me play this game, kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely incredible value, especially in this day and age where there are so many games coming out that you want to get through. having services like this is definitely good to save a bit of money here and there as you're just trying to get through everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
How you feeling, Jacob?
I'm feeling real good, Garrett. How are you? Yeah, I don't really have anything to say.
Okay.
You guys
Your
made
boy
some good
Calmo
points.
writes in and says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Glad to see you all up and about this time of year. I've been having an issue recently. I'm about 23 hours into Persona 5, and the last time I played was about 3 months ago. I want to get back into it. I can relate, man. Try like 3 years. Can't seem to find an ideal time to do so. So my question is, what is the ideal way to really sit down and get into this game? I love it so much, but with all these games coming out, it's hard to focus on it. Best wishes to everyone on the show, and thanks for getting me through my long days of painting." Calmo, thanks for writing in, man.
That's
Good
like
to hear from you again.
it's like I wrote that question pretty much.
Yeah, because you're kind of
this
experiencing
is
the
you.
same, right?
Yeah, I mean, I literally 3 months ago when Royal came out or around then, I put about 30-ish hours into it, and then everything started coming out, and I moved on. But I think for me personally, I'm just waiting. Probably after Ghost of Tsushima, once things start winding down, is when I'm gonna hop back into it again.
That's my intention as well.
But it's so
Finally.
it's so wild is how games do keep pulling me away from Royal when I love that game so much, and I'm so excited to see like all the new content that I haven't experienced yet, and I've heard it's phenomenal and stuff. So it's just really weird how I can be so pumped to play a game, because as of now I'm super stoked knowing that I'm going to go back to Persona 5. Like, that's exciting to me. But it's just weird how I can feel that way and then just still keep it on the back burner. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of
You
those.
guys have any suggestions?
I think it's definitely one of those titles. Like Persona is one of those things you can't just hop in for a 10-minute session too. Like, so a lot of people don't have that time to dedicate a multiple hour session to Persona. So I think a lot of like my thing with it is literally to abandon everything you know and love, and then just dedicate yourself fully to Persona for a few weeks until you finish it. And that's like the only way I was able to do it. Like I had to stop I didn't use my computer. I didn't use anything else. I just played Persona. Whenever I had time, I would sit down and play Persona. And even if they were smaller sessions, like I just forced myself to play the game, which sounds weird, but like when you have so much else going on, you really got to take that time and be like, this is my game for now, especially since it's so long. But it's really one of those things where as you get into it, the more time you spend, it's so rewarding in every little step of the way. I love Persona 5. I've been in love with Persona and Shin Megami Tensei for a very long time, and those games have always been a huge part of both my childhood and where I am today. They're awesome, fantastic titles, and with Persona 5 being the epitome of like just fantastic JRPGs. But it's definitely one of those things where like when you're sitting there and you think about it, when I get home, I'm going to play blah, 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 because I don't have time. It's like, no, I'm going to go home and play some Persona 5. And then you just keep playing. But definitely it's one of those things where as long as you're enjoying it, right? Because I've never been a fan of telling someone like, oh, it gets better if you're not enjoying it, just keep playing. At the 90-hour mark, you'll really start to love it. Like, but it's definitely like if it's something that is not maintaining your interest and that's why you've stopped playing, don't force yourself to play anything. That's where you start to burn out. If you start forcing yourself to play things just to play it, just to talk about it, you'll burn yourself out. It will hurt the experience. So if it's really not something you're currently in the mood for and you cannot continue it, then just stop and save it for another time until you are in that mood to continue it and go from there. But like, it's definitely, you have to be in a certain type of mood for Persona 100%. And when you are in that mood and it is hitting and it's firing on all cylinders, that's when it's like, damn, I didn't know this game was that good. But yeah, I don't recommend forcing yourself to play anything if you're not feeling it at the moment. Save it for later. It's not going anywhere. But if you are enjoying it, you're just not finding the time. Make the time.
If you're not enjoying
all you
it,
know
then
and
you're
love.
stupid.
Yeah, that's more or less what I'm gonna have to do. I think you said it perfectly, Kyle. I had put it off specifically for that reason. I just didn't have the time to invest. I know it required, and I'm going to start completely over in Royal. But I'd only made it to like the second or third palace when I first played. But
Weak.
Yeah, for I don't know why I feel this way, but to me, Persona just screams fall, like the season of fall when it's getting a little colder outside. I don't know why.
It's funny because the game
Takes place.
Well, no, the game
it
does
starts
take
in
place in
April.
there. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I don't know why I feel that way. I think it's just like the aesthetic, the way the game makes me feel. But it's kind of perfect timing for me because once I wrap up Tsushima, which I plan to I imagine I'll be finished within the next 2 weeks. I fully intend to jump into Persona and spend the majority of my time with it leading up to Cyberpunk and Halo and all the stuff coming out later in like October, November. So perfect timing for me. I'm at long last getting back to it. So I think what you said is the perfect way to get back into it, though, for those who have kind of dropped out like myself.
I think one of my worst habits is I'm a avid podcast gamer. Which Tsushima is fantastic for.
Yeah, I do the same.
It is the perfect podcast game. Just go liberate some stuff, while you're listening. And you obviously can't do that playing Persona unless you're going through like mementos or something like that. So that's like you said, you have to make a commitment. Like, I'm going to play this game, put my phone away, actually pay attention. It's kind of hard to do, which is kind of funny to say, but
yeah, I mean, it requires your full attention to get the most out of it, so it makes sense.
Yeah, some games are more like that popcorn experience where it's like, I'm going to sit here, do some things, kill some stuff, and then tune into just kind of like some people, like, you'll sit down and you just want to turn off your brain while you're playing a game, right? And some games just require more from you. You just can't do it. The game and Persona will not let you do that. So again, that's why you really got to be in that mood. Am I willing to dive into this world, to look into everything, to pay attention to everything, to grow with these characters? And to be fair, a lot of JRPGs ask that of you. Like, they're not really popcorn games. You really can't just sit there. Some of them might have more grindy elements to it, which you could maybe do it then. But for the most part, they're asking a lot of the player. And you just got to be in that mindset. And you have to be willing to dedicate the time to it. It's crazy. But it's very rewarding when you do so. Best girl? Sure. Question? Best girl? Persona 5?
I can't remember their names.
I'm not asking
Makoto.
you.
Makoto for sure.
Makoto. Is that the teacher?
No, that's the smart one.
Is that her? Oh, that might be her last name, maybe. I'm about to Google it. You guys
I listen
got
to
me messed
English
up.
too, so maybe they do it different.
They may. My favorite's Futaba, 100%, but
Isn't she like 8?
she's like 12. Listen, no, I think she's like 15 or she's like 2 years younger than the main character. That doesn't matter. I'm not trying to bang her, bro. I'm just going out and playing games and stuff, having fun.
The movies.
Gracious. Best girl doesn't mean you're trying to.
I love her personality, man.
Yeah, exactly. All those pixels, bro.
Well, mine's the most
Makoto.
basic
That's
answer
what I'm
ever.
thinking of.
It is Makoto? Okay.
Yeah.
What's your answer?
Mine was Anne. I
Anne?
know everyone disapproves of Anne.
She's up there.
I feel like she's
kind of
just
a hoe,
the most like
but no,
everybody picks Anne.
she's the first girl. It's fine.
I do like the new one though. I forget her name because I haven't.
the one that's like
seen her
already
too
a
much.
thief or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she's pretty cool.
I don't you're right though. Like, it demanding more of the player. I mean, at the very least, it's very visually and audibly stimulating. Like, it's the style, like, to hell and back, and musically, it's just brilliant too. So
the
you're getting a
music's
lot
so
out
good.
of it for paying attention, even in addition to the story and stuff. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So Kyle, I wanted to ask you this really quick.
no.
Persona 4 came out on PC. Have you played that, and how do you feel about it?
I'm like 20 something hours into it. I was really into it when it first came out, but it's like something I've played already, right? Like, so I for the most part know. And there are some areas where if you're playing on harder difficulties, you really do have to sit there and grind. I love the story and characters of Persona 4. I think the gameplay is very much a different experience. A lot of the dungeons run differently. They're not as handcrafted as they are in 5. But
They're randomly generated, aren't they?
Yeah. My favorite thing in 4 is the characters. There's a lot of weight in 5. Don't get me wrong. But like in 4, I feel like there's a bit more weight. There's people getting killed left and right, bro. There's people dropping like flies. You don't know what's going on. It's scary. And 5, it's like, okay, we're gonna go and steal a dude's heart, and nothing's wrong with that. Like, it's still good. It works incredibly well in 5. But I just feel like there's a lot more you feel is on the line in 4 as you're playing. And
There's a serial killer in 4 just going around. killing people.
killing people. And then in Shin Megami Tensei, which is one of the reasons I like that as well, it's the same kind of vibe. It's very dark times in Shin Megami Tensei. Like, I think one of the ones they just recently re-announced for getting an HD remake, Nocturne, that one, like, literally all of Tokyo's killed. Like, everyone just dies, and you're like in this different world or something like that, if I recall correctly. But like, they don't care. You like someone, dead. The Game of Thrones them, they're out, and there's so much weight to those stories, and you really grow with some of these people, and they'll drop them like nothing. So it makes the stories a bit more interesting. And 5 had some of that, especially later, like that one moment. I'm sure people that have finished it know what I'm talking about. The one moment where you're like, oh damn, did that just happen? And that when it was funny because I did it first, and then my sister was actively playing it. When she got to that part, it was just fun watching. Like,
that without being spoilery at all? Is that messed with at all in Royal?
I haven't played Royal.
Oh, okay.
I haven't played Royal at all. I would assume it's a really major story beat, so I would assume it would stay the same.
Things with that character are different though in Royal.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. So I'm not sure. It may be different.
Which leads me to believe that it might be different, which is so exciting to me.
Well, yeah, I really like that moment, so it'd be interesting to see how they do it differently. But I thought that was crazy. Like, I'm like, ooh, man. And that has to do with, well, how would you say that without spoiling it? I guess like pocket dimension? I don't know. That's kind of the idea. I don't know. But it's such a good game. So good. So good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you for entertaining my question, because like Persona 4 Golden or whatever it's called is one of those games that is like it's excellent. Some times coming up when I might have some time to go through an RPG.
It definitely suffers from that thing where if you play a game that's a sequel and you go back, you realize all of the improvements that have been made on the franchise, and you're like, dang, this is kind of a step back.
Yeah, dude, so gameplay wise, Persona 5 is like so much better, but the characters of 4 are freaking great.
They're some of my favorite. I love 4. Yeah. It's amazing. But yeah, it's great. Also has a decent anime. It's okay. The Persona 5 anime was trash. Absolute
that was
garbage.
Really bad.
It was.
I stopped watching it.
No, it was so bad. I'm like, if you want to enjoy the story, go play the game. Like, it is not good. I don't know how they can do that so dirty. The Golden anime wasn't awful. It was pretty good. But yeah, great games. Great games. Abandon all you know and love. Play it.
Definitely. Yeah, that's probably the best tip, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we have 2 more we can blow through pretty quickly. Bruce Bogtrotter writes in and says, "Hi, boys. Seeing as you are such Sony fangirls, I'm an Xbox guy, always have been and always will be, purely because nothing beats Game Pass."
Oh my goodness.
He didn't write it like that, but I feel like that's how he may have.
So what was it before Game Pass? He says he always has been.
Halo.
So are there any past/future Xbox exclusives you wish were on PlayStation only? P.S. Keep up the good work. You should really put yourselves out there more. I listen to a few gaming podcasts like IGN, Kind of Funny, and Because Video Games, and I hand on heart enjoy yours most and look forward to it every Monday morning. Muchos Lobos from the UK. Thanks for writing in, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Well, you should know we don't want anything only on PlayStation. We want it all on
everywhere.
PC. Yeah,
is that true? Yeah, just put everything everywhere. Why is that so difficult?
So, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, we've always said is like it's not just like the hardware about PlayStation that attracts us. It's just the exclusives, and it's hard for me. I know Xbox has some like sleeper hit exclusives I'm probably overlooking, but like the big ones obviously are Gears and Halo. I mean, I was
Ori was really good.
Ori, I hear Ori's incredible.
Is it Ori on PC?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I played the newest one on Game Pass.
Yeah. So I haven't played an Xbox exclusive on Xbox in a couple of years, I think, at this point. But I mean, I was a diehard 360 fan. I mean, Preston and I both were like married to our 360s for a long time. But yeah, nowadays like we said, we just everything's on PC. But if we only had the option between consoles, of course, I'm fine with playing Halo and Gears on an Xbox, because I mean, I don't get too hung up on hardware these days, because like we said, we're like pretty into PC, but yeah, it just really comes down to the games. So
Sea of Thieves, maybe. I googled a list of best Xbox exclusives, and 2 of them were Forza games, so that's not a good start.
Sea of Thieves is so impressive to me.
It's good.
I love that it has just a massive community and it's still getting like substantial updates. And I saw it was like at the top of Steam the other day. So I think it's really cool that people are really, really into that game.
You and I had a lot of fun with that.
Oh yeah. It's like, even though it got insanely repetitive in like the early stages of the game when we played, it was still so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of our best videos we've ever made is our Sea of Thieves video. That video is so funny.
I think it'd be so funny if we just had like us three, then like other people in the community just fucking around and, Sea of Thieves. I think it'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
It's a great game. You grief people for free. It's dope.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can't really think of anything else on Xbox.
I guess if I had to pick one though, like I'd probably pick Gears of War to move over. That's probably my favorite like massive Microsoft game. I really, really enjoyed, I don't know if I talked about it a lot on here, Halo 5's multiplayer. I actually played that a lot around the first couple of weeks 5 launched. I think it's really fun.
That was definitely the best aspect of 5. That's probably the best thing 343 did, in my opinion, overall, was Halo 5's multiplayer. And I enjoyed parts of Halo 4's campaign as well, but I think they nailed the 5 multiplayer. And it certainly didn't feel anything like the original trilogy, but for their take on Halo gameplay, it was pretty solid. I agree.
I said Gears.
You said Gears. You just said Halo.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I meant Gears.
What's that?
That's why I was interested. You said Gears, and then you transitioned into Halo right after that.
I think he was just saying that he liked the multiplayer in 5. So, like he was saying, like, although I picked Gears
5.
Gears 5 multiplayer.
Yeah, Gears 5 multiplayer. I don't know. Let me redo that. I don't know if I talked about it a lot on here, but when Gears 5 came out, I played a substantial amount of that multiplayer wise. I think that's fantastic.
I think I played a fair amount of that too. I can't remember anything of it though. Is the problem?
Was the Fear shooter ever on PlayStation, or was it just Xbox? Fear? Yeah.
I think the first one was PC only. I think 2 came to 360.
I don't remember. I don't know if it was ever on PlayStation. And no, the original Fear was on Xbox because I remember playing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but those games would be cool. I love those games before they got crappy. Like after 2,
yeah, Zach liked those games too.
They got really bad. The first Fear, if you guys have never played it, I highly recommend if you're looking for a horror FPS game. It is excellent. And it's crazy when you look at it for its time. The lighting in it is fantastic for how old the game is. It played incredibly well, and the AI was like one of those times where the AI is like actually intelligent. It's not like just run at the player where he's located and Zerg rush him, but like they would communicate with each other, like communicate when to nade certain spots. And like, it was really cool for its time. And it's just a really great experience, especially like dealing with some of the first few encounters with Alma, the little girl that's haunting you and stuff. It was an awesome experience. You could probably get it on like GOG or something, played on PC.
Oh yeah. I do see it. It was released a year in 2005 on PC and then a year later
on Xbox.
Xbox, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing when G4 was a thing, which I think, didn't we talk about last week? It's coming back now.
Yeah, we forgot to. It's funny, we mentioned that in our intro, but never talked about it.
I was thinking, I was like, I don't remember ever saying anything about it, but super pumped about that. But I remember the show Cheat, not Cheaters.
Yeah, but Cheat.
But Cheat with what's her face, Kristen something. You know what I'm talking about. They did an episode based on Fear, and as a kid, not having a PC and I wasn't even allowed to play rated M games. I just thought it looked so insane, like all the slow motion,
it's
shotgun kills and stuff. So cool looking.
Definitely worth your time if you haven't touched it. That was one that popped to mind, but I don't remember it being on PlayStation, but I'm not. If that's the case,
I think it was. It did come to PS3.
Oh, that's cool. Were they the bad ones?
2007.
Were they the bad
ones?
ones?
So another year later.
They might have been the bad ones. Like I would like just a remake of the first game, like scene for scene, because I don't trust that team to make another game after seeing what they did to it. But it was a good game. It was a good franchise before the dark times.
Yeah. Jacob, what about you? Any Xbox exclusives you like to see come to PlayStation?
I guess if I had to pick one, I'd go with something like Ori.
Yeah.
If I had to pick
Fable,
anything.
maybe.
Because I don't want to play a shooter on my PlayStation. So I guess I'll go with something like Ori that's, more narrative focused.
That's such a good game. Man,
it's so good.
Although
I would just play it on my computer. So I don't have an answer, I guess.
Put it on PlayStation.
That's our way out of this question. Big finale. Nolan writes in and says, "What's a food that can take you immediately back to your childhood? For me, it's a fluffer nutter sandwich." It's a great name. Be a great band name. My babysitter made me one every day. The combination of peanut butter and marshmallow fluff is just the bee's knees. Have a good weekend. Love you, boss. I think I've had that once in my life, and it is incredibly good.
It sounds good,
But I haven't had one in
incredibly fattening
years.
too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's all. I've never been a fan of marshmallows unless they're like in a s'more. But
Same
yeah,
here.
yeah. But like, I
Feel
would
the
never
exact
pop a
same.
marshmallow by itself, bro. That seems so weird.
Pop a marshmallow.
I think he's talking about like the marshmallow spread, where it's like kind of melted.
Yeah.
Even that I'm not into.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
But like
I'm
on a
more into
s'more.
s'mores.
So
s'mores
two
are
things
incredible.
immediately stand out to me. One is Go-Gurt. Anytime I have a
Ooh.
Go-Gurt, I'm immediately taken back to childhood. Same with those frozen like rainbow popsicles. You know, like you'd get
Yeah,
those like
the-
sticks and
yeah,
all
the
those
juice
different
sticks.
colors.
Yeah.
And also Lunchables, specifically the nacho ones. I ate a lot of those as a kid.
Pizza
Yeah.
Lunchable.
Yeah, Pizza
would
Lunchable
probably
for
be
me.
For me, yeah.
That's good stuff. Maybe bagel bites were big. Bagel bites and
Oh,
pizza
yeah.
rolls
Yeah.
were a huge part of my childhood. I also really loved. I could remember it vividly. Like when my mother would take us to school in the morning, we had like a TV in the van when they used to still have like antenna TV. Or I don't know what it was called, but before they switched everything to digital, and they would have like, so we would watch Dragon Tales, I think, on the way to school, and we would
man.
stop by Burger King and get French toast sticks.
Oh, delicious.
And that would make the rest of the day. The world could end that day and I would die a happy child, but that was it. Sometimes I remember like that was the first time I saw, I think anything anime related was like Yu-Gi-Oh! Watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes in the morning, like on PBS they would show it. Like it's all censored to hell version. But yeah, French toast sticks. I got a lot of those in like occasionally. I had gone into the Marines boot camp. It's a long story. Eventually they kicked me out for an issue of paperwork and they had sent me home. They separated me out. But every once in a while they would have French toast sticks for breakfast in Marine boot camp. So like everything else was trash there. Like the food there was so bad. Like you'd have occasional things that'd be decent, but like one, like the taste, the kiss from God would be these French toast sticks. They were just magnanimous. They were excellent. And breakfast became my favorite meal of the day just because they were that good. But yeah, that'd be something. You run in, go into mess and go get some French toast sticks. And that'd be your 4:30 in the morning breakfast or whatever before you went out to do everything else for the day.
It's the dream.
Yeah. But yeah, French toast sticks, I love them. But that was like a weird thing because like it made me kind of sad in a way because like I was moving on with my life, but that was like one part that reminded me of my childhood. So like I'd be in the middle of eating and I'd take a bite of a French toast stick and I'm brought back to that moment in the car when I was a kid. And then now I'm like, here I am trying to do something with my life. And here we are. But like it was an interesting moment. Kind of made me cry, but I couldn't show it. Ow.
Yeah, the most
could not show it.
intense thing like that I've had happened to me about probably a year and a half ago. But I went into QT one morning and I saw they had these breakfast pizza slices.
Oh,
Which is essentially it's pizza and then it's like some sort of gravy as the base and then it's just
Okay,
like
never mind.
cheese, eggs, and bacon on top.
Okay.
And dude, I had like a straight up flashback when I saw that pizza to when I was a kid. My dad still works in the school system, and during the summer, me and my sister would have to go with him to school as he would do work and stuff during the summer, and he would always take us by this BP gas station, and they would have these breakfast pizza, like French bread pizzas, and we would always get one of those every single morning we went with him to school. So when I saw that pizza in Quick Trip, I had flashbacks of that. So I had to get one and taste it. And dude, I swear it tasted exactly the same.
Oh, that's
Just had
great.
a huge nostalgia trip.
Wow.
Yeah, I hate bagel bites now. So I can't I'd be like, oh, go buy a bagel bite. Like, yes, childhood. And I taste it and I'm like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, this is what I remember at all. It's nasty.
Dude, an overcooked bagel bite is one of the worst things on earth.
You throw it in the grill. It's a piece of charcoal.
Yeah.
I think Pop-Tarts are big for me.
Ooh.
Yeah, definitely Pop-Tarts.
Favorite
Cherry.
flavor? Okay.
Yeah, not cherry. Favorite flavor has always been brown sugar cinnamon. But I know most people have that reaction, but I'm a big cinnamon fan. I loved strawberry, of course, blueberry, wild berry, cherry.
Wild berry's great.
I grew up on the cherry and strawberry ones.
Nice.
We always
My
got
mom's
this.
favorite Pop-Tart is brown sugar, so she would.
Heating those bad
good
boys
one
up.
there.
Delicious.
Those are the Pop-Tarts that never got touched. They stayed in the back of the pantry.
I'd scarf them down.
My mom would put them in the toaster and then put like a little like glob of butter on top, so it would just like melt over the entire
Interesting.
thing.
So
I've
wait,
never seen that before.
That's how she always ate them.
Question:
Wow.
Do we all toast our Pop-Tarts? Because I've heard of a few degenerate folk that actually microwave them.
Yeah.
What?
I've done both.
Okay,
I've
I
never heard of
prefer
that.
the toaster.
I
They're a little
typically
crispier in the
I
toaster.
typically just eat them because I just don't have time to wait around for things to toast.
I like
Yeah,
the
don't like 'em
s'mores.
like that.
The s'mores are my favorite.
I did when I was a kid. I did eat them like out of the box though, more frequently than heating them up. But anytime I have one now, I'm always putting it in the toaster.
Good.
Have you guys tried Pop-Tart Bites?
Yes,
They're delicious.
They're pretty good.
Are they
Very
just
good.
smaller Pop-Tarts? How they work?
Yeah,
They're like little
little,
they're like
these-
thicker little like bagel bite sized Pop-Tarts.
The
sort of.
texture's different though. Like it has a good texture for bite form.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about toaster strudels? Because I know
Oh
those
yeah,
are like
dude.
those
Toast
are like
Strudel's good.
those are kind of like you had like the special occasion Pop Tart would be
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
toaster strudel.
I don't know if I've ever had a toaster strudel.
Dude,
I'm
they're
not even
delicious.
Oh,
jealous.
they're so good. They never give you enough icing in the packet, but they're
No.
good. Every once, what I would do when I was a kid is I would basically just sacrifice the next time I'd eat a toaster strudel and grab 2 packets.
Yeah.
So I get to the end of the box and I'd be out of this icing because I would use 2 per strudel. Oh man,
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
You know, Kyle, now that we're sort of at the end of the show, I'm sort of disappointed in the so-called king or the the ambassador of anime. You've rarely mentioned it the whole show. And
I mean,
With the exception of all the waifus.
yeah,
Right,
no,
but,
waifus are a deep
know.
part of anime culture. I mean, I've been watching.
is there
it.
anything about anime you want to say, or do you want to ask me?
Watch God of High School, bro. Have you watched God of High School yet?
No, I haven't. I
you
finished
should.
Promised Neverland though.
Wow, that show was so good.
It was so good. I
Excellent
loved it.
writing. I loved it to death. And that first episode, I will always remember because it's like the whole time you're sitting there, ass clenched, don't know what the heck's going on. Then boom, they hit you with the reveal, and you're like,
Yeah.
dang. And just the cinematography throughout a lot of the later episodes with a lot of the Dutch angles that they're doing and stuff, it just puts you in such an uncomfortable situation throughout the entire show. It's so well done. Such an excellent show. If you
It
like
didn't wrap up how I thought it would. Either.
Oh yeah, no.
Like,
The second season's on its way. I think it's like next year or the year after is when they announced it. If you like that, I would recommend a show called Erased, which Garrett has talked about. It's really good. But watch God of High School. It's like hype martial arts beating the crap out of each other, and there's some powers introduced as well. But I've
Here,
been
I
watching.
swear we've recommended Erase to you like a million times.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
It's good. It's
You need
really
to watch
good.
it. It's awesome.
It's an excellent show.
I'll start one of those
13
two tonight.
episodes too.
Another
That's the anime I recommend to people who say they've never seen anime and are interested in seeing it.
yeah,
That's what I always start with.
I do Attack on Titan a lot too. I think Attack on Titan's phenomenal. Another
I've
really
gotten people
another really
into
good
anime with Attack on Titan.
Yeah, another really good show. If you liked Erased, it's not exactly the same. It's got more of a fantasy tinge to it, but it's called ReZero, and it's like
heard of that.
it's like a thriller kind of crazy mystery show as well. Just with like it's called an isekai, so it's like a character being moved into another world, but it's a deconstruction of those genres, so it kind of takes apart the tropes that make up that genre and builds its own story out of that. But it is one of the best isekai I've watched, but some of the better fantasy shows I've watched, just because of how intentional it is with what it's doing, and it's really good. There may be some annoyances you might have with the main character, but it's intentional, so I really can't pull it against it because it's part of the point of the show and the deconstruction that they're doing. Excellent show, but it's one that it's actively coming out. Its second season is going, and it has been. I haven't ugly cried in a hot second to watching an anime, and I did watching the last episode because of something that they did. It was really good. It's definitely a great show.
I have one question for you. Is it worth it for me to? because I've completely forgotten everything, but I think I got like 7 episodes in on Darling in the Franxx. Is it worth it for me to restart that to finish it, or is it not?
Now, I love Darling in the Franxx for the characters and the leading up to like the last few episodes. Everything in it is excellent.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would agree. It's just great all the way up. But Trigger, the people that made the show, have this weird thing that they do where the last few episodes or last arc of the show, they're like, okay. Oh, wait, that'd be a spoiler. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything. But they have this weird thing they do, and you'll see it because there'll be a noticeable change, and you're like, what is going on all of a sudden? But if they kept it with what they had been doing for like the first 20 episodes,
Yeah.
it would have been up there in like one of my better shows just because it's so good. And you'll see it early, like out once you get past the early fan service and stuff like that and move into the other stuff. It's pretty
There's
bad
a lot
early.
of
It's so bad early. But once it gets into like the actual character drama and dealing with what's going on and the mystery behind the world, it's really good. It just doesn't. I mean, it's enough, right? Like it didn't ruin the show for me. Like I would recommend it to someone, I'd just be like, hey, be wary. It may not end how you like it to, but everything up until that point was so good. Kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones, actually. Like so good all the way up to the last point, and then it just capsizes and goes down. But I definitely recommend rewatching it. It's good, and
Okay.
I love the music in it. Like the opening.
Oh yeah.
Some of the OST is great. It's a good time.
Cool.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for entertaining us
Dope.
with anime.
Yeah.
Dude,
stuff.
yeah, that was no better way to end with Kyle joining us in episode 242. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I thought it was a fun conversation talking Halo and Ubisoft and Splinter Cell and anime and new consoles. Like a lot of fun stuff on the horizon. I know we're all pretty excited about. So as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us on Discord. If you're listening anywhere but Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it's also available on YouTube and Google Play. And like we said, as always, join the Discord if you haven't already, because we have a great time talking there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on anything we've talked about today, whether it's in the YouTube comments or on Discord. Hit us up. And yeah, it's just an exciting time to be playing games in spite of the situation of the world we're in, because thankfully games are still coming out and it's given us a lot to talk about. And
Imagine if all
enjoy.
this happened like 30 years ago and we were all the same age. What would we do?
Oh, yeah.
Like read a
Yeah.
book? Like get
Yeah,
out of here, bro.
read more
Like,
books.
yeah.
I would
I
kill
have,
myself.
to be
Clean
fair,
the
I have
house.
been
I
reading a
don't know.
lot, but it is, yeah, realistically, we'd probably be frolicking in the wilderness in our backyards and reading for the most part. So,
A couple
yeah.
things for Kyle. Thank you again for joining us. You're
Yeah,
someone
man.
that we wanted to have on for a while now.
No
so
problem.
Thank you for making time in your schedule to join us. And also, where can people find your podcast and what is it called for people curious?
I don't like plugging, but
Do it.
too late. You've been asked.
It's just the Thought Patrol podcast. It's on everywhere that you'd find this show, IOG, like Spotify, YouTube. You just search Thought Patrol, and it's not THOT, it's THOUGHT. So Thought Patrol podcast. You'd find it anywhere. It's usually, at least when I search it up. So I don't know if it's Google knows, like, hey, you search this up to show to people, like, this is it. So I don't know how easily people would find it because it's not the biggest thing. But yeah, you probably find it easily on Spotify. It's the only thing I ever see when I do search it up. So we're there. We're on Audio Boom, stuff like that. If you are in the Discord and you listen, just at me. I also put in the community tab every time a new episode goes out. So yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify, this is Bojangles 954 on Discord. Yeah.
Yeah. Bongles.
But just to make it easy, we'll link your podcast in the description of this episode to make it easy for people to jump to it.
Make me cry. I appreciate it.
But yeah, Kyle, we love you to bits, man. Seriously, just all the ways you've sent us questions and supported us over the years, man. So it's just nothing but a pleasure to have you on, man. This was fun.
Yep. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I still want us to do like the full on at some point Thought Patrol IOG crossover. I
guys
think it'd be great.
What we'll do is we'll have someone write a porno fan fiction for all of us.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll get Sam on it.
Sam,
Yeah, Sam, get to it, man.
He bursts into flames before he do that. Bro.
Well, it's certainly something to aspire to and fantasize about in the meantime. But again, to everyone who tuned in, thank you so much for your continued love and support. And of course, follow us on all social medias to stay up to date. And we love you to bits, and we'll catch you all again very soon.
See you guys.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.